Brothers, brothers, what's up? This is BSP. I need to put myself in the studio here. See if you brothers can see me here. I'm gonna go ahead and not show this overlay. Here we go. So what's up, brothers? I just getting everything, all my technical stuff out the way. Good evening, brothers. This is gonna be a deep stream. Trying to get this lighting right here, man, so I can make sure that you brothers can see my face here. It's probably because I'm directly under light, but should be all right in a minute here. No problem. So yes, brothers, this is BSP, your brother in Japan, and I wanted to mention that. So I live in Japan, and I do have a channel called Brothers in Japan that I do for the brothers as well. That particular channel is basically showing brothers all the places that I go in Japan. So basically, what I do is when I get there, whether I travel by myself or with my family, if I'm with my family, whenever I find the time, even a few minutes or an hour or so, I'll do a video for the brothers, let the brothers know where I'm at, let the brothers know where the place I'm at is about. That's what I'll do. Um, I also have my Tokyo 64 channel, which is basically my walking tour channel, and I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of hits on that, so that's helping. I just, like I said, wherever I go in Japan, I'll do an hour or so of a walking video just to give people a perspective of where the place I'm at, like what it looks like from the street, on the street, so you can feel like you're there. So that's what I do. But brothers, tonight, brothers, this is the spot. I'm gonna pull up my thing here. So what I'm focusing on, okay, so before I introduce myself here, I'm getting tired of seeing just only white males walk around or other, minorities, because there are minorities here in Japan walking around. And I just don't see enough brothers over here. I hardly see any brothers. In fact, where I live in my city, there's no other brothers, just me and my son. Now, I do know a couple brothers that live up in Miyoko, up in the next city over up the hill, who own businesses up there. Well, one lives in Miyoko and his brother lives in Nagano, which is about 10 minutes from where he's at, near on the border between Niigata and Nagano. So I do know those brothers up there. But other than that, out here where I'm at, on this seaside of Japan side, which is the west side of Japan, I haven't seen any other brothers out here. And as you brothers know, if you watch my Brothers in Japan stream, last week I was in Toyama overnight on the 18th to the 19th. And I did a live video there on why you need to move to Japan now. So if you want to go back and look at that video, it's on my Brothers in Japan channel, you can go check that out. But right after I did that video, I was walking around the city, man, and I seen like just these white males on their cell phones and suits, walking around with other people, look like they was happy. And I wasn't too happy. And they wasn't happy when they saw me. They saw a brother walking around there dressed and looking nice, as because I'm representing my people, myself, my family, my ancestors and my brothers over here. And they did not like me. They looked at me like they did not want to see a black man in Toyama. Because trust me, those women over there, they were friendly brothers. I mean, every woman I spoke to or they spoke to me, they were very friendly. They just lit up. As soon as I said something to them, I said, hi, they just lit up, man, like Christmas trees, brothers. Some white boys do not want us over in Toyama. And see, Toyama is not that popular of a place, or well, it's not. I'm not going to say it's popular, but it's not well known. Most people, when they come to Japan, and you look at the statistics, the heavy tourist spots are Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. Right, a lot of people they rarely venture out to other areas. Now, Morioka, Japan, is been on a hot seat right now as a tourist destination because somebody put it up in the New York Times article or one of them articles over there back east. So now everybody and their brother think they want to go to Morioka, which is actually a nice place, by the way. It's up in the Tohoku section of Japan, and the women up there are aggressive too. So they checking for brothers. I just want to let you brothers know from head to toe, from Hokkaido to Okinawa, the women are checking for brothers here in Japan. So I just want to get that nipped in the butt. Now, let me get into myself, okay? So what my background is. All right. So I was born and raised in Philly. I grew up a poor kid. My parents were divorced when I was 4 years old, and so my mom had to go through the single parent thing, and I had to raise my two little siblings, my sister and my brother. My sister 1 year younger than me. My brother is 4 years younger than me. Ever since I was 5 years old, she would leave me at the house. While she went out to work, and then after that, after work, she went out hanging out with her boyfriends or girlfriends, whatnot. Wouldn't come home till late. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the house starving my ass off trying to find bread. They might leave me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich ain't gonna last long when you got 3 kids in the house. You know, so that was part of my background growing up. So I was very poor. But when I started going to school and I started going to grade school, I would come home and we finally had a TV to watch. And I was the oldest one, so I could pretty much watch what I wanted to watch. And after I do my homework, I turned on the TV. It was an independent channel in Philly, and guess what was on? I started noticing these different cartoons from Japan, like Astro Boy, Ultraman, Space Giants, Marine Boy, Tobar the Ape Man. There was a lot of Gigantor. There was a lot of different cartoons from Japan, and the one that I really liked was Ultraman. And Ultraman had this beautiful Japanese lady on there that I liked. That was a little 6 year old boy. That was probably my first crush. So I'm going, grab me some of this wine here. I'm drinking a little sangria tonight for the brothers. So we don't have our wine glasses because we got them in storage. And we don't want these boxes around in our house, but we don't want to start digging through boxes until we get the new house, man. Then we're gonna empty all the boxes out. Here's a toast to you, brothers. So yeah, I was watching Ultraman, and I watched so many episodes. I watched it every night, 5 days a week, and then the next week I'd go return and watch it again. I kept watching it and watching it and watching it. Even when the reruns, I kept watching it, and I just kept falling in love with Japan watching that particular program. So fast forward up a few years later, my grandmother got me a book called Shogun, and I read that book 1,000 times. And the story on the Shogun. It was based on a true story in Japan, and that book was very intriguing. Now, what's going to shock you all is, and what shocked me, knowing that it was about the samurai. And later, when I married my wife, my wife, samurai, and went to a cemetery here, not far from where we live. And I was like, "Hey, this cemetery looks pretty nice. Why does it look like this?" She said, "Oh, because people buried in the cemetery are samurai. They're descendants of samurai." I was like, "Oh." So yeah, so she's a descendant of samurai. Of course, her father is. My children are descendants of samurai, and they also on my side descendants of Shaka Zulu because I found out through my DNA check that I'm related to Shaka Zulu, and of course Ashanti warriors. So there's certain things that that you need to know about your family line. Anyway, getting back to Japan. So fast forward, 1985 rolls around. I get stationed in Japan at Okinawa. I remember. I never forget that day. That I got my orders to go to Japan. I remember my commander was called me in their office. I put in, you put in the Air Force. I went in the Air Force. You do your dream sheet, and you put out where you want to go. So number one on my dream sheet was Japan. Number two was Okinawa, and then number three I think was Korea. I'd already been stationed in Korea already by the time I was, when I came back in the Air Force. So I remember going to her office. And she said, "Hey, kid, I got great news for you. You're going to Japan." I was like, "Yes," because I was thinking it was going to be like the area I really wanted, which was in Misawa, up north in Aomori. She said, "Oh, you're going to Okinawa." I never forget because I held it on my face when I left her office. I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to go to Okinawa because they got nothing but a bunch of military goons there. I didn't want to go there." But I got there, and I excelled, of course, in my career in the Air Force there, and I was able to get my college degree because what I did was I just kind of built myself up in my job to where I became an evaluator, to where I was starting to teach people and evaluate people doing my job. And therefore, I was able to go to school and get my degree while I was in. The Air Force paid for my school. And the rest is history. So I came back to the States after being in Okinawa for 7 years. And then I got kind of bored, because I had never lived in mainland Japan. So then I went back to mainland Japan a couple years later and moved to a place called Mie Prefecture. I was there for a year. And that was really a country area. I mean, it was like a blown away experience for me because And the reason why I'm bringing it up because I know a lot of brothers that want to come to Japan, like me at the time, want to go to like the big cities like Tokyo, because I want to go to Osaka. They want to go to Tokyo, Osaka, Yokohama. You want to go to clubbing, you want to go partying, jazz clubs, the women all over the place, dropping out of trees, literally, out of trains, whatever. That was a life that I saw that I wanted for myself in Japan. Eventually, I got there. A year later, I moved to Osaka. I stayed in Osaka 3 years. I had a great time there in Osaka. And then I left and moved around Saudi Arabia, went back to the States and lived in the US from 2001, I guess, for 22 straight years. That was the longest I've ever lived in the States as an adult. And that's where all of the issues started happening. I didn't realize how messed up America really is. I was blown away by because like I said, as a young adult, I lived overseas. I was in Japan, I was in Korea. And then I left and I went back to Japan again. So, before I was 35, I lived in Japan twice. And so most of my affiliations of in my adult years are with Japan. Literally, I recognize all Japanese actors and players and programs and things like that. I still remember all of those. I still, oh yeah, I remember that guy when I look at TV, right? When I see him on the screen. So that was my experience in the U.S. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about our life in the U.S. So in the States, I was there. I left Saudi Arabia and came back and lived in Hawaii. At the time, I was with a married to a Japanese girl and ended up getting divorced in Hawaii, and that was a bad experience for me because I had picked the wrong person, if you will. I thought this person was going to be special, but it turned out they wasn't. And that just broke that off. So that's what brought me back to Washington State. So I came back to Washington State, and less than a year later, I met my wife there. She was taking a break from college. Well, she was still in college, but she got onto a program to where she could learn English in the States for 1 year. I mean, for 6 months. And she was only in the States, I think, for like 4 weeks. And I met her, and we started dating. And she knew I had someone else. And then eventually, I dropped the other person. And I said, "You know what? You're the one. I'm going to be with you." Um, so she hung in there, and the rest is history. Now we have two beautiful children. We've been married over 16 years. So now, getting back to what our life was in the States. So when my wife, when we got married, 07, my wife had been to the States before. Like I said, she met me in the States. She did 2 weeks when she was in middle school and 2 weeks when she was in high school for homestays with her friends. So she actually entered a program, and she happened to get lucky. She won the lottery. So that program they were offered. There was a program in Japan, and her local school district said, "Hey, if you get selected, you'll be able to go to the States for 2 weeks." So that's how she got to the States the first time. And so when we got married, my wife was all into America. She really loved America. She got hired in Japan. She got a job right out of college. When she was in college, they recruited her, but then she turned that job down to marry me, and we moved this. She came to the States because I got her on a fiance visa to the States. So we lived in here. She was excited. We were married 5 years before we had our son. And everything was going, we had some big struggles because I had to retool, I had to go back to school. We were down to the point that we were so poor in the States, it was crazy. But my wife just the only thing out of her mouth was, "Oh, what do you want for dinner?" That was it. "What do you want me to cook, babe?" That was it. There was no, "Oh, you this, you that." There was no complaints and like this because my wife's feminine. It was like, hey, she had my back the whole time, and now she's reaping the benefits. So we had our son, and once we had our son, our life started getting better financially. We started getting better. I started getting more permanent positions in the IT world. Things rolling along. Fast forward to 2017, we bought our house. We watched our house get built. So literally, we saw a cement slab, and the developers were coming in, and we watched our house get built. Um, so um, so we moved in our house, and we were living the American dream. We had the house in the beautiful neighborhood, the big house, the big lot, the two cars. My wife didn't have to work. I was the only one making the income going to work. My wife hadn't had to work since 2010. She worked for 2 years when she got here, and that was it. Right. So we were like living large. We were like, yeah, this is a life. And then the pandemic hit and things changed. And then my wife had already started to see some things in the States that she didn't like. For example, like when we lived in a few neighborhoods, the women wouldn't speak to her. She'd be walking around my son, going on her daily walks with my boy when he was like 2, 3, 4 years old. And these women were looking at her like, who are you? And they had kids the same age as my son, but they wouldn't friend up with my wife. She met a few people, but most of the people were giving her the cold shoulder because, she was Asian. That's what she felt. Because the neighborhoods we lived in were predominantly white, because that's Washington State. There's only 4% black in Washington State. So anyway, so she started to see something that she didn't like. But then when the pandemic hit, man, and when Trump came in office, and coupled with the pandemic, she started to see the ugly side of America. She started to see some ugly Americans. She started to see how we lived in our neighborhood that we lived in last, and these women were treating her like trash. Then the Asian hate thing started to kick in, and then mass shootings started going up, and then with our son in school, so we put him in school. Now we're worried even more. We're like, oh my God, we got kids in school now, and they got shootings in schools, and so on and so forth. So sometime last year, I had reached out to, I believe it was the beginning of 22. I reached out to my father-in-law. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I know your dad has 2 properties in Japan. He has a property in the city he grew up in, and then he has this property that he's living in now. Because her dad moved around because he was in the Japan Air Self-Defense Force for 34 years. So when I told them that I was interested in that land, that lot, that home, they almost cried. They were so happy that I was interested in that and moving there and taking over that property. So we started talking to a builder last summer, the summer of 22. We visited Japan with our family for like 17 days in the winter. And right before that visit, though, we're actually in the summertime. Shortly before the summer, we had decided to move to Japan. I told my wife, I'll just be a digital nomad. I'll work remotely in Japan. That was when I was with my current job, my former job. But then I was working for a credit union, and I think that they would me work overseas. So I started fills out, trying to see, hey, is it work? I found that they wouldn't work, and I had to leave. And meanwhile, I was looking at my investments, and my investments were really doing well. My dividends were coming in good, and so that means I started to have enough income to live without having to work, and it just took off from there. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so we visited in the wintertime. We just talked to the builder. We looked at the house and everything that we had to get to, that we tore down. You've seen on my Brothers in Japan channel, the house was just recently tore down because we're going to build a new house on that lot. So that's what's up with me. So I get to Japan. We moved to Japan in June of this year. So we've been living in Japan just over 4 months now. We had to go through a lot of things. First, we had to secure a place. So we're renting a 1,300 square foot house with a garage and 2 other parking spots. And we're only paying $399 a month in where we live, right? And of course, the neighborhood is very safe. I leave my door unlocked all day. The only time I lock is at night, and the only reason why I do that because I'm just still got that U.S. in me. I go to sleep. I want to make sure nobody's just gonna come in my house when I'm asleep, right? So we're loving it here, man. We're loving the life here in Japan. You know, I'm gonna go over before I talk about more about what's going on here in Japan. I want to talk about the situation in the U.S. because this video is, I'm going to tell it real tonight, brothers. I'm telling you really what you need to be doing. So you know about me, you know my situation. I've been living in Japan here for 4 months now. I'm getting a house built. Oh, by the way, I'm a landowner. So I bought land next to the land that my father-in-law owned that he just turned over to my wife and I last month. So now we own more land. And so we're going to get a house built on that. So I'll touch base on that a little bit later on. But right now, as I'm looking at my notes here, I want to talk about the situation in the United States right now. All right. Brothers, you may look at your W-2 form or your 1099 or whatever the case may be, and you may see that they take taxes out of you every month. You may do your taxes every year. You may go to the store, you're paying sales tax. But brothers, you are paying way more taxes than you think. Your medical bills or your insurance is high because America has a poor healthcare program compared to where I'm at and around the rest of the world. You pay black taxes because somebody in your family always needs something from you, right? So you might as well use it as a black tax. When you move into any apartment or house or anything like that, guess what you're paying for? Or what you got to pay for. You get that mobile device which you already have, but then you get that cable TV, right? Well, guess what? Excuse me, what you need to bundle in on that? Security. So you got to pay for security. You got to pay for alarms. You got to move to more expensive neighborhoods that are supposedly safer than others. And what I want to say about that is that neighborhood, because we were in the same boat, we lived in a really nice neighborhood. We were safe there, but the minute we left our neighborhood, it was a different story. The minute we went around somewhere else or got on the freeway, went to another city, or drove and did our errands, or went to visit, or went to a function or a restaurant, or whatever the case may be, everything was totally different. We had a chance to have a crime committed against us, or walk into a crime scene, or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm getting at, brothers? So in the United States right now, the middle class is done. Okay. Now here's what you need to understand about the middle class. See, if you know American history, and I know when I was in school, that was one of my specialties. Before World War II, you were either rich, which was very few, or you were very poor, but mostly you were hustling. Okay. And if you were black, you were very poor and hustling. I give you an example. My great grandfather, Arthur Berry, and his wife, they had an annual income back in 1940 census. I looked at it, of $500 a year. That $500 a year in today's dollars equates to $900. I mean $9,000 a year. Brothers, can you imagine living on $9,000 a year? Just imagine living on $9,000 a year, needing a car, needing to pay for security, needing to pay for your phone, needing to do this, needing to pay that, commute back to work. Because believe it or not, you brothers are paying to go to work. Yes, you are paying to go to work. So what I'm getting at, brothers, you are spending money that you don't have to spend if you were living in another country. If you were living in Japan, because I'm talking about Japan. You are spending money that you don't have to spend. You are suffering in America and you don't even know it. You may be happy. You may be happy going out with your boys or with your fam. You go to this event, you go to the game, you do this, that, the other. But all those events and games and stuff and drinks and everything, they cost. And you know what? They cost way more than what I'm paying here in Japan. Way more. Over here in Japan, the kids don't have to spend, you don't have to spend hardly anything for children's events. And with your own events, you don't have to pay much. But I'm talking about the situation in the United States. Another thing, with the fact, okay, so getting back to the middle class. So the middle class was not started until after World War II. So all these GIs came home and they got the GI Bill, which allowed them to get low interest loans and assistance to build their homes or to buy homes, right? Guess who didn't get to participate in that middle class grab as much as they needed to, or hardly ever? Black men. We did not. We went, we fought, we died. But the ones that came back home after the war, who survived, we didn't get to partake in that. Very few of us got involved got their GI Bill. Very few of us. My great grandfather, not my great grandfather, my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran, did not get the GI Bill, and he was honorably discharged. A lot of black men were dishonorably discharged over something as trivial as not showing up for 5 minutes. Something as trivial as getting mad at a white commander. They knew that there was going to be some money being handed out by the U.S. government, and they didn't want us to have nothing to do with it. And a lot of black men, black families missed out on that middle class grab. The black women that were back home while we were fighting war, that were working in the shipyards and whatnot, as soon as the war was over, they got kicked back to whatever they was doing before that. You see what I mean? Most of those women were domestic workers. Guess who did not qualify for Social Security on domestic work? Black women. And guess who ended up on welfare because they didn't have any Social Security and they didn't have any other benefits? Black women. And guess who got the bad end of the stick, like who got the bad treatment because they were on welfare, because it wasn't their fault that they got on welfare? Black women. And guess who didn't get no assistance at all? Black men. Okay, so now you know, with all the riots and everything that came out in the 60s, we were rioting because we never had nothing. We were never able to partake in that middle class grab. That was the biggest middle class grab in history, and it will ever be. Now, if you look at the numbers, the middle class lasted from 1945, 46 to 73. After 73, the middle class started deteriorating. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up, because I want you brothers to know what the situation is in the U.S. today. But like I said, with that Yom Kippur war, what happens 50 years right now, the Israelis are in another war, right? The Middle East, the Arabs are threatening to cut off oil. They cut off oil in 73. With those prices everything went up crazy in 73, they're still going up. So imagine if they shut oil down now. Then all the prices are going to start going up. And guess what? Being in a capitalist society like the U.S., them prices ain't going back down. They're gonna go even higher, which means you're going to get less and less and less. So the middle class started deteriorating in 73. It started going down. They had then what happened was when Reagan came into office and they freed the credit up a little bit. Oh, hey, you get some credit cards, man. Yeah. I remember people back in the early 90s, my friends had, look, man, look at all these credit cards I got. You know, we were in the military, look at all these credit cards they got. But so people were more in debt now. They had a lot of debt. So they weren't really middle class. They were in debt, but they were living like there's middle class. Just like that movie we seen, deep when Lawrence Fisher said, I don't know if I'm pretend to be a dealer, drug dealer, but be a said, I don't know if I'm a man pretend to be class pretend to be poor. That's what with that debt, the debt that people experienced in the 80s, from the 80s on, when credit became easy to get. So fast forward to 2023 now, right? And you had a few housing crunches in there, a few recessions and whatnot. Now you got people out there working 2 jobs and they can't even live in a house or apartment. They're homeless, working 2 jobs. Now people that work 3 jobs just to pay minimal rent, a rent for a 1-bedroom crappy ass apartment in somebody's neighborhood that they didn't even want to live in. Forget buying a home. If you're not a veteran, you're going to need money down. Even 3.5% is the FHA. You're going to need money down. Most people want you to put down 20%. FHA will give you 3.5%. Now you got to ask yourself, do you have 3.5% of $600,000? The answer is probably no. Because if you think about the math, 1% of $600,000 is $6,000, right? So already 3%, that's 18 G's, right? So then if the 3.5%, that's $21,000, not even including closing costs, because closing costs are going to take that up to 30. So now you need $30,000 from somebody, from somewhere, just to get into a house. And then here's the stickler, brothers. Just because you get into a house doesn't mean you're able to keep it. Because what happens is people now, it's hard to get a house, but before, 5 years ago, it was easier. Or back in 08, 09, it was easier before 08 to get a house, but it was harder to keep it. It was harder to keep it, and it's harder to keep it now, and it's harder to get in it now. Excuse me. So guess what's happening? A lot of people are, if they can, they're renting. Now you got these people out there saying, oh, I make enough money to rent in that new nice house neighborhood. So what happens? These investors are going in buying up these homes that these people can't buy, and then they're renting them out for big money. And then you get in, you're like, oh, $3,000, 3 bedroom. Oh, you see these single moms out there that have a good job from somehow they're making some money. Oh, great! I can move my 2 kids in there and we can live like a family. Yes, they got walking trails and all this other shit, right? Well, guess what? That $3,000 rent today, when that lease is renewable next year, it's gonna go up to like $400. But guess, excuse me, guess what's not gonna go up that much? Her pay. You see what I'm getting at, brothers? You see what I'm getting at? What I'm getting at, the situation in the US is this: the middle class is dying, and it's dying in droves. All right. Now, we got some brothers up here gonna be watching video that are retired or retiring. I think it may be too late for me to get the retired brothers to move to Japan, because think about it. If you're living on the average Social Security check is $1,742 a month, right? So, and most blacks only get Social Security when they get retirement age, are only getting it. I spoke to a guy whose daddy didn't even know about a 401k program, and he was in the 60s, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, what's that?" And then his son had to tell him what it was. You think he's got enough money with that 401k right now? No. And he's probably like 68 now, and he's probably got, like, if he's lucky, he's got 10,000 in his 401k. You know how the market is. Market's been pretty bad lately. So that 10,000 probably wore down to 6 or wore down to 4. So guess what? He's gonna retire, and the only money he got to rely on, because most blacks take Social Security at age 62, which is the lower part of the cut. He's gonna be at the and that's, so at 62, the average is about $1,240 something a month. If you added it all up from 62 to 70, yeah, the average is $1,700. But most blacks are getting about $1,200 a month, somewhere around there. That is banana money. They living in a place, they paying maybe $800 a month rent, right? So the rent is almost 75% of what they're getting, and they still got to pay tax on the shit that they're getting paid on for Social Security. You see? So why are you stuck? My question to brothers is, why are you stuck in that situation? Or why would you want to be stuck in that situation? So if you're not retired yet, and if you're getting close to it, what I suggest to you, brothers, is save up your money now. Because the reason why I brought up the Social Security thing, the reason why I brought it up is because in Japan, brothers, believe it or not, you brothers are not, I know what's wrong with my phone. You brothers are not going to believe this. But in Japan, did you know that most cities over here, most towns, you can live on $1,000 a month? $1,000 a month, you can live comfortably. I know. Everybody's tripping on me. They're like, what? Japan's supposed to be expensive. Japan is not expensive. America is overpriced. That's what it is. And that's the situation you're living in the United States. You know how you think you got it good, you're living well, and you're like, yeah, I'm living large, man. My car payment, I got this, I got that. And then, well, guess what's going up on you if you got credit card debt? Interest. And guess what else is going up? The amount that you got to pay minimum. Most Americans are paying minimum payments for their credit cards. So that $388 that you had to pay last month, guess what? It's going to be like more like $410 now, because them rates keep going up. So guess what? Those minimum payments got to go up. And guess what? That's eating into your monies. And you probably start to notice that, oh my goodness, I ain't got that much money left, man. Damn, I'm making 6 figures. I thought I was supposed to have more money left. Nope. 6 figures no longer makes you middle class, by the way, brothers. 6 figures no longer makes you middle class. The 6 figures, what that does is make you barely visible. You now need, hell, if you're lucky, $300,000 to be middle class in the United States. In the 60s, if you had a job All you needed was a job. My daddy was 18 years old. And he had me young. He was almost 19 when he had me. My mom was like 16, man. And but they bought a house because house didn't cost that much, and because you didn't have to make that much to buy a house. So yeah, he had a house when he was 18, 19 years old. My dad owned that. It was like nothing. It was like, oh yeah, out there, boom, here you go, in my house. He was just he just did his money right, the little money that he had. But they worked a few jobs. He worked 2 jobs, my dad. So boom, here you go. I have money for the house. So of course, in the black neighborhoods, houses didn't cost that much at all. I remember when I was growing up, my mother, she was finally able to buy a house, as a single mom when I was in high school. And I looked on the records. That house only cost her $5,000 in 1979 or 76 or something. $5,000. It was worth nothing. Then they ended up tearing it down. See, so compared to say a white neighborhood where their house value was probably well over $200,000 by then, my mom's house only $5,000. I could afford that just working in the Air Force. See, so that's where you are. That's your situation in the United States. Another thing I want to bring up in the United States is the crime. Brothers, think about it. You can't even go to the park, to any park, and enjoy your run or your walk without worrying about some idiot coming out of nowhere shooting up the damn park. Some good wine. It's Sol de Verano out of España. Yes. So I don't know. Dad's trying to call me. He knows I'm on a video. I don't know why he's trying to call me now. But so yeah. So the crime is crazy. You just seen the mass shooting in Maine, right? I don't know. America had way too many mass shootings for me. And that was a big concern for me and my wife. We didn't want our children to have to end up getting shot up in the school. And we would never forgive ourselves. But what I'm getting at is you can't even walk down the street. You can't go to the park without looking at some dirty needles in the park, stepping on some stinking ass homeless guy out of nowhere. You can't do that. And I'm not knocking homeless people, but I don't want to look at homeless people when I go to the park. I just don't. Is that a personal preference, or is that a common thing that humans feel? I don't want to look at. I need my children out there have to worry about it. I need that. So thing you got to deal with. Another thing you brothers got to deal with. You got to deal with the women. Now, in order for you to move to Japan, if you're married, that's great. More power to you. But if you really want to get out of that matrix and you want to come to Japan, you're gonna have to convince your wife to be on the board. And most women don't make it over here when they're married to you. They just don't make it because they're not willing to shut up and get on and play the game. They want to come over here and try to change these women, try to change Japanese girls to be like them. That don't happen. Yeah, you may see some YouTubing girls up there, Japanese girl. Oh yeah, I got me a girlfriend. I'm this and the other, but that is so rare in Japan. Japanese don't take things too seriously, especially when they're young, like those trendy things. They take relationships serious, but they don't take those trendy. Because like I said before in some of my videos, a Japanese will go to a Christian wedding, have a Buddhist funeral, and do the Shinto rites. That's it. That's what they do. They're not religious. That's just what they do. You see what I'm saying? So you got Christians up there like, oh man, they got married at a Christian wedding. Man, they're Christian. Wow, good job. No, they're not Christian. They just like the way weddings look in chapels. That's it. That's what they like. So getting back to your situation in the U.S. So on top of that, most places in the U.S., they have some sort of issue with the global warming thing. I mean, it's hitting places all over the world, but in a different way. You got more hurricanes now. I was living in the Northwest, man. Forest fires started happening almost every year. I mean, it was breathing was horrible. And that's why we bought an air conditioner for our house when we was in the Northwest. Because we're like, man, we got to do something. So, yeah, your situation in the U.S. is dire. You go into restaurants, you got to tip people. You got to tip a bitch with a bad attitude. She don't even look at you. Damn, they're dropping your plate on the table. Here you go, bam. Like, damn, what's this? You got to deal with these masculine women that you take a picture of them, they try to move you out of the way. Brothers, you're dealing with a lot of stress. And on top of that, America is not made for black men. The system does not support black men. You can't feel like, excuse me, a man. Man, I've been this season changed, man. My just been wheezing a little bit. I'm good, but I just like keep myself hydrated. So, I mean, you can't, you got to fight the women all the time. You got to come home, you got to go to work and work hard, and you got to come home and fight a woman for control of your house. That makes no sense, brothers. So, and then you never know what's going to happen. Congress fighting each other. They spending too much money on Ukraine. They want to throw money toward Israel, and you don't know what the hell's going to happen, bro. They didn't come back and excuse. Oh, we're sorry, the tax got to go up, or this, that, the other. You got these liberals running around, giving people more freedom. People can make crime, and they don't get away with. They get away with it now. So that's your situation in the U.S., brothers. And I'm here to tell you, you need to get out of the matrix. You need to get out of the matrix. Now, so why do you need to leave? Brothers, the life over here in Japan is very well, is very good, brothers. It's very good. I'm a Philly boy. When I was in the States, I walked around with a chip on my shoulder every day. I'm ready to punch somebody in the nose because I didn't trust nobody. I knew nobody cared about me. That's the way I was raised. That's the way in America, that's the way that I came up, I was brought up, and that's the way I believe life is in America. But brothers, you got to get out of that matrix. I tell you a good example. My blood pressure, as you get older, your blood pressure starts to creep up, right? So my blood pressure is running like 130 over like 90 in the States, 136 over 90, something like that. Well, I get to Japan. I moved here in June this year, and I didn't check my blood pressure the whole time. And in September, I had me and my wife, we went to get our physical done, our annual. Because in Japan, when you register for that healthcare, you got to get that physical. It's mandatory. I went there, brothers. They took my blood pressure, man. My blood pressure was only 111 over 77, man. My blood pressure was good, like it used to be when I was younger. My wife looked at me. She said, "Oh my goodness, baby, you must really feel comfortable here." I said, "Yes, I do." It's very relaxing here, brothers. It's very relaxing. That's why you need to get out of the States. You need to see and you need to feel what it's going to feel like being a black man and free. And the difference is, you got to understand, brothers, freedom here in Japan means responsibility. To an American, they're like, "Oh, I'm free. I can write whatever I want. I can put fuck Joe Biden or fuck Trump or whatever the case is on the back of my car and my Jeep and drop my kids off at their school with all that shit on the back of my car." That's not fucking responsibility, though. A Japanese would never do that. To a Japanese, freedom is responsibility. I'll give you an example. If you've seen some of my videos, I do some night videos. And when you look at my night videos, what do you see? You see women. And what do you see? Women walking by themselves at midnight with no problem. Safe. Nobody's coming out of the woodwork, hitting them on the side of the head, punching them in the face, taking their bag, holding them up at the ATMs or whatever. No. Because in Japan, freedom is responsibility. Japan, they have just as much freedom as they do in the United States, but they do it responsibly. My son is going through that now. He's 10 years old. We gave him some responsibilities, and we told him, hey, with those responsibilities, we gave him some freedom. I said, with some freedom comes responsibilities. So like I tried it. You know, he messed up a little bit, so you got to wait till I tell him back that he can do it again. But we said, okay, we're not going to tell you what time to go to bed. You know, you got to go to school tomorrow. You make sure you get to bed in a decent hour. He's got the freedom, but with that freedom comes responsibility. America does not understand that. Americans think, oh, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. Hey, man, fuck you. Hey, I'm going to crash your car. I don't give a shit. What? Hey, I'm going to shit on your fence. Hey, that's free. I'm free. That's not responsibility, brothers. That's a fucking animal. And unfortunately, in America, there's a lot of animals running around right now. And you see them riding around in trucks, the stupid ass, big ass trucks with the fucking flags all on them. Like, look at me, look at me. Brothers, I have never seen one thing like that over in Japan. Not one. Not one. I don't have to look at a white male over here. And when I look at a white male over here, he can't do shit to me. But in the States, a white male can ruin your life. You brothers know it. On any given Sunday, or on any given week, or on any given motherfucking day, a white male in a suit or a uniform can ruin your life forever. But over here, when I see white men walking down the street, I'm looking, I'll just ignore them. Like, what else here? And I'm not saying that I don't have white friends here, because I do, but I'm just saying that people I don't know, I don't worry about them like I used to do in the States anymore. I just don't, because they can't do nothing. They don't pay me. They can't hire me. They can't fire me. They can't kill me. And they can't take anything away from me. Like they can do to you right now in the Matrix, brothers. Yes, they can. See, what you brothers need to understand is this. Living in the Matrix, your life, you are literally living on borrowed time. They only allow you to live near them or to work around them or work with them. They allow you to do that. They allow you to go out and be the person that you're trying to be. But the big problem in the United States, brothers, is nothing lasts. Nothing stays the same. Just when you think you're comfortable and you think you're good, just when you think you got it made, it's when you think you're fucking them, they're fucking you. That's how it is in the States. That's how it is, brothers. There's no stability. None. You could be home and your 10-year-old, like my son, is out. And all of a sudden, you get a knock on your door and you see this cop. And the cop telling you that your son just got shot and killed because he just went to the store to get something to eat. And some idiot decided to do a drive where he looked at a girl and he's only 10. I thought he was 18. This girl, he decided to shoot this 10-year-old because he thought he was looking. That is. That's how it is. That is the situation in the United States, brothers. And that is why you need to leave the Matrix. You need to leave for peace of mind. You need to leave because you need to live in an environment where you are totally relaxed. That chip on my shoulder that I was always carrying around the States, it's in my pocket, man, in Japan. I don't get mad. I don't get frustrated, nothing. It's like, oh, I'm good. Because Japanese don't bother me. They're very polite. I say hi. They say hi to me. They may talk. They may ask me some questions like, hey, what's going on with this? And I ask them some questions. And we're friends. It don't happen in the States. So that's why you are failing to live like you deserve to live, brothers. And one thing another reason why I put this up here, brothers, I want to touch base on this. You see, you can live so much better than you're living now. In the US, the UK, other countries, you can live so much better, brothers. And you don't need that much money to live in Japan. You don't. So if I were you, and you're probably saying, oh, I'm making $1,200 a month retirement money, man. I can't do nothing. Yeah, you can. Fuck rent. Don't pay rent. Don't pay rent for as long as you don't have to pay. Go stay with your relative or something. That Social Security check, save every last dime of it. Get your passport. Because all you got to do is get here, on a tourist visa, and then boom, you just keep renewing that tourist visa, and then you got that income coming in. That income's going to secure you, and then you find a way to get you a longer term visa, and then eventually you get to a permanent residency. That's what you do. But I'll touch base on that later. All right. Situation here in Japan, brothers. Japan is getting ready to blow up again, man. It's getting ready. They have a labor shortage in Japan right now. The population is getting old. The government's gonna have to do something, right? So I mean, when all these hotels we stay at, man, I see cleaning. I see boss Japanese women, and I see women from Indonesia, Philippines, whatever, cleaning up the rooms. Yep, that's what I'm seeing, brothers. I go to a convenience store at night. I see a foreigner working at a convenience store. Yep, I see that. I see foreigners working there. So you could conceivably be over here retired, collecting Social Security money, and if you want to make some extra coin, you can work at a convenience store if you want, and you're set. You're already making more than enough money. The dollar's strong. The dollar is over 150 yen to the dollar. But now, even if the dollar does go down, the fact that you got $1,000, you can live in Japan. Now Tokyo, you probably need about $1,900 a month to live in Tokyo. Some places you need $1,500 to $2,000. But most places in Japan, you only need $1,000. That's all you need. Like I said, I'm paying $399 for a 1,300 square foot apartment. You single, you only need, 1,300 square foot house. You single, you need a 1,300 square foot house. You can get you a 600 square foot or 800 square foot apartment and pay less. Pay like $250 a month. You're like, oh shit, that's all I'm paying? Yeah, you good. See? So that's how it works, brothers. But the situation in Japan is good. It's good, brothers. I wake up every day, man. I don't have to worry about nothing. Every day, I know I'm coming home, brothers. Unless I drop dead or something. But when I leave my house, the chance of all of us coming home in one piece are very high in Japan. We don't have to worry about nothing. I've gone to stay in different cities, leave my wife and kids here. I could care less if the door was like my wife forgot to lock the door when she went to sleep at night. So be it. I know she's gonna be okay. I know my kids are gonna be okay. My wife's gonna be okay. In the US, I would never do that. That's what I'm telling you. The life here is good. The food, good. The drink, good. The nutrition is good. The health, good. The sights, good. The scenery is good. I mean, you see this beautiful castle park behind me in this background. This is right here in our city, Takata Castle Park. And every year during Sakura season, they have these beautiful cherry blossom trees. It's the third best, if not the best. It's the third best in the world for night cherry blossom viewing. And they have over 4,000 trees that are cherry blossom trees in this park. And it's beautiful. I go there. I walk around. I don't see any crowds. Since I've been, you're going to see more people doing the Cherry Blossom Festival, but that only lasts a couple weeks. I don't see no crowds. I see people. I just walk in the park and like, oh, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. Eating this name, eating this, yo. Oh, you say konnichiwa, hello. The weather's nice. Yes, the weather's very nice today. Yes. Oh, your daughter's cute. Oh, she's a cute little girl. Oh, how old is she? Everybody says that. And you walk around the park, and all you hear is the crows like flying around, and you might hear the fish in the water, and the air is fresh, the scenery is beautiful. It's total peace, brothers. It's total peace. That's the situation here in Japan, brothers. Nobody, absolutely nobody bothers you. Nobody bothers you. And least of all, the last thing they would want to do is come across a black man, like cause trouble for a black man. They're not going to do that. Here's another thing you got to know about Japan. Now, you might see some idiot on YouTube. Oh, my God, they got crime in Japan. They got crime in Japan, but guess what? The crime is very, very low, like almost low to nil. That low. And violent crime, which is even rare, if a person kills somebody in Japan, it's because they had an affiliation. A Japanese will not kill somebody that they don't know. They kill out of rage, out of anger. So that's pretty much how the average citizen kills somebody, right? They're not gonna plan, just shoot somebody. Oh, I shot him. He's good. Like in the States, you he's dead. Like this stupid ass mass shooting. Oh, he's dead. Fuck him. No, in Japan they don't do that. You got your rare case of some idiot Akihabara a few years back stabbing everybody, but he has some issues. He has some serious mental issues. But you don't see that happen in Japan, brothers. You don't. So, and you ain't to worry about that. It's very safe. Um, Now, so life in Japan for me and my family, life is good. Life is good. Like I said, so we just got the house that was on our old property. I mean, that was on the old house on our property tore down. And brothers, I got it here somewhere, but I actually in my house and I got to put it in my safe deposit box at the bank. Me and my wife, we have titles to the land that we own. I've never had a land title, man. I got title to my land. Our names are registered at the city office as landowners, and I got title. And I can honestly say that I'm probably the first black man to own land in my city, and one of the few black men to own land in Japan. Now I know my partners up in Miyoko, brothers, they own land up in Japan, up in Miyoko. But so I only know 3 black men that own land in Japan. Only 3 black men I know. Now, there may be some more, but it's very rare. Keep in mind, there out of the 3 million foreigners living in Japan, only 61,000 are Americans, and that's not including the military. If you include the military, the families, you're looking at about maybe 100,000. So, out of those 61,000 that are non-military, can you imagine how many brothers are in that? Not many. Most of them white. Most of them are privileged. Rarely do you see blacks. That's why I need more brothers over here. That's why I'm doing this video. I need more brothers in Japan. I need more brothers in Japan living this good life. Because brothers tell me, trust me, life is good. You see my brothers in video channel. Life is good here. I walk around the parks, like I said. I walk through the cities. I do videos in the middle of the night. Nobody even thinks about touching a brother. Nobody. Police don't come up on me. Hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this video? What's this? What are you doing? I've walked past police a lot. Police don't. And the police actually have a secondary job in Japan. Their job, unlike ours, unlike American police, are to check for your documents for if you're an illegal immigrant or not. They don't do that. To me, I've never, I've had that experience one time in Tokyo back in '94, and they just politely said, "Oh, brother," they said, "Oh, sir, please remember to bring your passport, sir." That was it. I didn't get my head slammed on the hood or nothing like that. They were very polite. So, no problems, brothers. No, life is good here. I can go out and what I like, what I really like to is like my wife. We use our expert a lot because the exchange rate is good. So I'll go in and I'll use hard and I'll look like, damn, because it's so good. And I'm getting points and everything. So I'm like, okay, pay the bill, bam, I'm good to go. Next. That's how it feels, brothers. That's how it feels. Things are very inexpensive here. I don't want to use the word cheap because I don't want to insult my people in Japan, but things are very inexpensive. We go out and when we eat, we don't spend that much money. I've paid for my in-laws. I've paid for friends. And the bill, I look at the bill, I'm like, oh my goodness, is this all I paid? All this food and drink and everything, is all I paid. We took a couple out with their daughter. It was 7 people, me, my wife, my son, and my daughter, and then 3. It only cost us $72. Drinks, dessert, everything, $72. No tip, because you don't tip in Japan. Life is good here. I travel a lot. I go anywhere I go in the country. I went a lot of places in the summer. One week, at one point in the summer, I visited 5. I was at 5 prefectures. My wife and kids were at 4. I was at 5 because I went to Tokyo. I was at 5 prefectures. 5 different prefectures at that juncture. And you know me, every few weeks I'm going somewhere. This month is October, so last week I was in Toyama. Next weekend we're gonna be in Nayaba, which is a ski area up here in Niigata, where it's just going to a resort, just gonna get some hot baths to a hot spring. The end of the month, my friend just texted me today. He just texted me, a guy I used to work with at Nova. We got a Bonin Kai. You know what a Bonin Kai is? A Bonin Kai is an end of year party for workers, for co-workers, or former co-workers. So they got a Bonin Kai. He just told me at this Italian restaurant in Tennoji, where I used to work in Osaka. So I told my wife, hey, I'm going to that thing. She don't want to make that trip because she don't like taking the Shinkansen that long. I'm gonna stay there 3 nights. I'm gonna check out Kobe, Kyoto, and Osaka in those 3 days I'm there. I'm gonna be there basically 4 days and 3 nights. So I was debating whether I want to stay in Kyoto or Osaka, but since I'm gonna have a Bonin Kai, I may still stay in Kyoto because I really like the Hotel Granvia at Kyoto Station. Or I just may do Osaka. I'm gonna check it out. It depends on what I want to do. But see, I travel a lot in Japan. I get around. This country is beautiful, brothers. This is a beautiful country, and you need to get off that. Oh, I just want to go to Tokyo, Osaka. No, Japan from head to toe is beautiful. It's beautiful, man. It's got great scenery, great food, beautiful people, man. Here, and they treat brothers well. They treat brothers well. If you're like me and you love jazz, that's a wrap. You're done. Japanese love jazz. They love jazz more than people love in the States. So yeah, our life in Japan is good. My son's in school. By the way, my son has not had any problems in the school. Nobody's picked on him or nothing. Everybody's welcomed him in school. He's having a good time in school. He needs to adjust to being more in group settings, but my son is having a good time in school. Like my little daughter loves it. She loves going to the park, not having to worry about stepping in somebody's dirty needles or whatever. She can rip and tear in the parks all she wants. I ain't got to worry about it. There's nothing there. So our life in Japan is good, brothers. It's good. And that's why I put this out here, because I know that when you brothers come to Japan or live in Japan, your life is going to be good. So, yeah, we need more of you brothers. I need more brothers here to enjoy this life. I was just in Toyama last week and I was just so disappointed. I got so mad I did another video because I wanted to see more brothers. I didn't see any brothers in Toyama. And Toyama is a beautiful city too, brothers. It's only a 40-minute Shinkansen ride from where we live. It's a beautiful place. It's like you look at it from the Sea of Japan, you see the city and you see the great big Japanese house behind it in the wintertime with those mountains white. It's unbeatable. We get those white mountain ranges around here too, so we see. So our city's beautiful too. But the way that it's set up in Toyama is just more prevalent. So it's a beautiful city, man. Great parks. I mean, I was impressed. I was like, damn, this place is nice, man. I went up to the college area. I was just all over the place. And man, oh, brothers. I took the tram up to the college. Oh, you talk about dimes. There were nothing but dimes on the tram. Nothing but dimes. 19 to 21-year-old, 22, 23-year-old girls. Nothing but dimes on there. So that's what I'm saying, brothers. You got to get to Toyama. You got to get to Japan. Just about any city. Toyama's a 415,000 person city. Nagano's got 317,000 people. Those are some nice places, but you don't need the big cities. But the big cities are nice. Trust me, Tokyo's my favorite metropolis in the whole world. I love Tokyo. But I'd rather live where I'm living because it's more local, it's easier, it's more relaxed, it's low stress. I don't have to worry about a lot of things out here. All right, so another thing that I'm going to talk about, brothers, because what I'm going to do is let me see if I got any comments here. Oh yeah, it looks like I got 8 comments. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, my bad, brothers. I have my comments turned off. So I'm going to read through all the comments after because I'm only got a couple more things on my list. I'm going to go through the comment list, and then I'm going to open up the panel. Now, I want to tell you, brothers, something here for a minute. It's near and dear to my heart, man. Brothers, oh wait, I gotta show this one, man. Dante, what up, brother? What's going on, brother? Long time no see, man. Long time no see. Soul Shader. Hey, Soul Shader. Hey, man, you and Dante, y'all need to let me know. I need your numbers, man, because I got my WhatsApp in Japan here. So, because I'm not on Messenger anymore, brothers. I know y'all like to messenger me a lot. So we need to do some setup to where I can get y'all my number. Because like I said, on WhatsApp. So look for me on WhatsApp. So I'll show you guys a picture of what I look like on WhatsApp, and then when you go look for me, you can just type my name in Japanese, and then you'll see my WhatsApp. So let me see if I can find it here, man. Oh, let me see here. Is this gonna bring up? Maybe not. Maybe not. But you'll pull it up and you'll see me and my kids standing in front of a "Welcome to Tokyo" sign. That's me on WhatsApp. Betty, my son Betty Tony in Japanese. So if you figure that out, you'll find me. Or I'll look up you guys too. Just let me know which name you want me to look up on WhatsApp, and I'll find you guys. So getting back to what I was saying. So brothers. Another reason why I'm doing this tonight, and I was talking to a good friend of mine in Tokyo, who, by the way, I'm hoping he's here because I'm going to put him and another brother up on the panel that are both living in Japan, like me. But I was talking to a brother that near and dear to me in South Africa, and this brother, man, he has a lot of good intentions, but like a lot of brothers, he's not following through on those intentions. And see, brothers, I want to see action. And I'm disappointed in my brothers right now. Right now, if you brothers come to me right now, if you were sitting at my table right here, right now, with me drinking a little glass of wine or whatever, I would tell the brothers, I'm disappointed in black men right now. I'm disappointed. Because I don't understand how brothers could live in the matrix and stay there and be happy with that shit, when they could live a better life here in Japan, a much better life in Japan. I don't understand it. I don't understand why brothers are putting up with these women that are treating them like shit and not giving them nothing, but taking everything from them. I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't understand why brothers are putting up with that shit. All right, but that's why I'm telling the brothers. I'm disappointed. You know me. I love my brothers. I'm not gonna blow smoke on no brother's ass. I love my brothers, but I'm gonna tell my brothers straight up. Like I said, if you were sitting me in my face right now, I'd tell you. If you was disappointing me, I'll tell you. You know what? You disappoint me, because what I don't like to see, I don't like to see brothers. I see brothers. Oh man, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But they're not going nowhere. They're just on a goddamn treadmill. They're talking a lot. They're talking up a good game, and they're making excuses. They're making excuses. They're spending more time making excuses for not doing shit when they could be doing shit instead of making excuses. All right, so shit, I got you, brother. So that's what I'm saying. You can't get up here and do this. You brothers, you gotta have a plan. And you gotta have a plan of action. And you have goals. And when you don't reach that goal, for some reason, you need to know why you didn't reach that goal. And when you didn't reach that goal, you need to know why. You need to look at your document, and then you need to reschedule something or redo something to where you're going to reach that goal. And look at me, brothers. Hoping and praying don't do shit for you. Hoping and praying shit for you. Hope and do the shit. The minute I went from only having $3 in the bank, me and my wife, we married a year. We had $3 in the bank. The minute I got mad and I got intense is when I started making money. The minute I woke up one morning, I said, fuck this. I started making money. Because as a black man, you should always be making money. You have to. Nothing was given to us, brothers. Now I'll let you know a little secret. That you think that the middle class, you think that the whites got privilege now. Guess what? They get their generation, the previous generation of whites, are getting ready to pass down trillions of dollars to the next generation. And guess who ain't getting that money? Brothers. Because our family, our people ain't got that kind of money to pass down to us. You know what I'm saying? The only way we can get that money is by making investments to where we can get at least parts of it and access to it and then build on that. Yes. In a few years, you're going to see these 40-year-old whites walking around like they rich, man, because they will be rich because they're getting that money passed down from them. Buying up houses, buying up your house, doing everything you can to get away from you. Another reason why I want to tell the brothers, too, that I'm disappointed. I see white people over here buying land left and fucking right. Land in Japan is cheap. They got over 2 million houses empty because people getting old. Japanese youngsters, they don't want to live in these towns I'm living in. They want to go to Tokyo. Everybody want to go to Tokyo, Osaka to make that money. And they're not even getting paid that much. But they want to get paid more than they get here. But the life here is better. It's a better quality of life. Because they don't have to join the rat race. But they don't know that when they're young. And then you see these Australians come out here buying up like lots old ski resort area, like a whole ski resort. Australians have bought up. Or you see Chinese coming out here. You see whites out here buying cash money these old Japanese houses for $10,000. Then they put another $20,000 in it, and then bam, it looks like a nice house. You see them out here. But what I don't see are brothers. Now I know I got a brother up in Miyoko who did that. He bought this old ski lodge area. I mean, his building. He did well because he was living in Japan already. His brother ended up getting a business out here that he bought. He's doing well. But that's very rare, brothers. Very rare. I'm just disappointed. In fact, I'm fucking fumed because I need to see more brothers over here. And I need to see brothers stop making these goddamn excuses for not doing the things they need to do. That's what I need. I'm disappointed. I got two brothers that I'm going to bring on the panel tonight if I can get them on here that I'm very impressed with. I follow these brothers all the time over here in Japan. I'm very impressed with these brothers. They're doing well. But yes, brother, they got empty houses in Japan. 8.5 million empty houses in Japan. So you can get over here. You can live on $1,000 a month, marry you a Japanese woman, and you can go to her village or close to her area and get you one of them damn houses. Because with her, they got programs where they're giving the house away for free. As long as you live in it for 10 years. They got a program to where I saw this on YouTube. This couple in Tokyo moved to West Tokyo in this country house with their two kids, and they're paying roughly, like all they got to pay is like 25,000 yen a year. That's nothing. 15,000 yen is $100. So they're paying less than $300 a year to live in that house. And guess what? The city government said, if you stay in it for 10 years, when the 10 years up, guess what they do? They give them every dime that they paid into it back. That's Japan. Japanese are not selfish. Their systems are not selfish. They're set up for the people to enjoy their lives, for the people to be comfortable in Japan. It is, you got to put the work in, brothers, to get here. You got to put in the work. But once you get here, you will find that it's worth living in this country. Because I feel like every day I'm here, I feel like I've earned the right to live in Japan. The system, this makes me feel like, damn, I did good by moving here. Because every day is a good day. Every day, literally. Every day in Japan is a good day, brother. I've never lived anywhere except when I was living in Japan before, where every day is a good day. Because that's how Japan is, brothers. That's how it is. So I didn't mean to jump on everybody like, well, yeah, I did. I'm not pointing fingers at any particular brother. But what I'm just getting, I don't like to hear is brothers say, they come up with all this crap and they talk, and I ask them, hey, well, are you making money? Or are you doing this? And they're like, well, I don't want to hear it. I want to see action. I need to see brothers over here. I need to see brothers moving. Like I said, hoping and praying don't do shit for brothers. Because the whites don't do it. They ain't hoping and praying for shit. They just taking shit. So it's time for you brothers to take. That's what it's time to do. So that's my attitude on that. That's my take on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these comments here that I see. So I see that Des says, greetings. What's up, Des? You know how I feel, brother. You know how I feel. We're going to have to talk later. You already know how I feel now that you've seen this. Soul Shader, what up, baby? Glad to see you doing well. Thanks, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you. What up, Bowie community? Yeah, Salute Senpai. What up, baby? From Nigeria. What up? Yep. Thanks, brother. You're here, man. Another possible brother with Bob with a gun. Yup. Yes. Yes. America is not conducive for black men's mental health. No, exactly. Thank you, brother. Yes. It is not conducive for black men's mental health. Because over here, brothers, I wake up relaxed every day, man. I'm relaxed. I don't have to worry about nothing. I'm just relaxed, enjoying myself. What up, Big Dad? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Long time. Yep, we said that, brother. Yep. Yes. Yes, they do. Yes. That's true, brother. Their kids don't want to continue it. That is so true. Yep. Thanks, brother. Thanks, Soul Shader. Okay, brother. Thank you. Yep. 8.5 million. Yes. Yes. So, all right, I'm going to open up this panel. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to drop it here, brothers. And now I upgraded my what you call it, my StreamYard, man, so I can put 10 people up on this biatch. So the panel is now open for brothers to ask questions and talk about whatever they want to talk about. But we want to keep it on topic. I'm not talking about coding and all this other shit because it's not the time for it. I want to talk about Japan. We're talking about Japan, how to get brothers over to Japan. So I'm just waiting for brothers to come on the panel here, because this is real. So there's a link right here to get brothers on the panel. Like I said, I'm looking for I'm gonna text them. Looking for Ghani and Deshaun, because I want to introduce these two brothers tonight. Here, Ghani and Deshaun, because they need to be on this panel. Just letting them know. So let's see. The link is, I'm gonna say the link is on the site. Yep. So let's see if Ghani was able to get on that, because I really like to talk to this brother. I'm really impressed with what he's doing here in Japan. He's a brother out of England. And then Deshaun Bailey, I'm impressed with this brother. He's a brother out of the States. He's been living in Japan since March of last year. Ghani's been living in Japan since March of this year. It's just nice to know these brothers are here in Japan. They're in different area. They're in the Tokyo area. Deshaun's in Saitama and Ghani's in Tokyo. But I've met up with Ghani already. I'm going to meet up with Deshaun as soon as I get a chance to get over that way again. Like I said, brothers, I meet brothers. You want to ask people on my crew, because I got to get my shot crew. They knew who they my crew up in the city. Brothers know I meet. I don't just talk a game. I meet my brothers. So, yeah. So let me know if you brothers want to get on this panel, because I would really like to get the brothers more involved in this conversation here, so we can open up some questions that you have for me. I did want to tell you, brothers, the different ways to live in Japan. There's the tourist visa, which is the easiest, simplest way, but not necessarily guaranteed. I mean, not necessarily the best way. It's basically because United States and UK, I know the US for sure, we don't need a visa. You just get your passport, you get on a plane. Next day you land in Japan, bam, they stamp on your passport. Your passport is now good for your visa in Japan is now good for 90 days. During that 90 days, you can get you an apartment, you can get yourself set up, but then right before your 90 days up, you just go fly to Korea for like a day. Then you come back to Japan, bam, your 90 days starts again. You just have to remember to leave every 90 days on a tourist visa. It's inconvenient as hell though after a while, because if there's a pandemic or something, and if they start restricting travel, you won't be able to come back a lot of times. You'd be like flying to Korea and you try to get back to Japan, like, oh, you can't come back, and all your shit's in Japan. See, so that's the tourist visa way. Another way would be the working visa. But in order for you to get a working visa in Japan, you need to have a 4-year degree, and you need to have somebody, obviously you're gonna be working for somebody. Now, what I did when I worked in toward Japan is I came over with I got my transcripts. I literally had my college mail me my transcripts that were sealed, because what happens is, and they're starting to get wind of it, some people were lying about having a degree. Yeah, Ghani told me he's got a couple people at Nova where he works, and they lied about their degree, but they're working at Nova. Now, once Nova finds out, guess what? They're gonna be kicked out of the country, because they're gonna report that to immigration to them. Because immigration says you need to have a college degree in order for you to get a work visa. So, let me see if I got this message back. I'm trying to get these brothers up on here, so we can do this. I don't think Deshaun's gonna get here because it's almost midnight, so he's late. It's really late for him. It kind of went over. I started at 10:30. I didn't think Deshaun was gonna get here, so he won't be on the night because he got to get up and go early tomorrow. Ghani doesn't work until like 1 in the afternoon, but I don't know if he's gonna have a chance to get on here. Let me see if I can send. Oh, he's typing now. Maybe he's letting me know where he's at. Maybe he's Oh, okay. So he's joining now. Let's see. So let me see if I can get Ghani up here on the panel. Man, this damn, sangria is good. My wife drank something the other night for the first time in a while, because she hasn't been able to drink any alcohol because she's been breastfeeding my daughter. But my daughter just turned 2 the other day, and my wife went ahead and cut the breastfeeding thing off. So now she's back in the game for wine and stuff like that. So, which is good. So I'm just waiting for Ghani to come up here too. But yeah, another way for you. So you get the working visa. Another way is to get, of course, a spousal visa. And the spousal visa is, you got to be married to a Japanese. So more than likely, that's not what you're going to end up coming in on, because most people don't come here on that. They come here and then they get married to a Japanese woman. Then they get the spousal visa. I think I got to send him the link, because, excuse me, I don't think he has it. Let me see here. If I go to, I might just sign on the StreamYard on my system here and just give him the link to it, I think. Let me see here, because I don't want him to be so it looks like I just looked at this news article. It looks like inflation is rising in Japan, about 2.7%. So yeah, we're paying a little bit more money for stuff in Japan. But it's better than that 6-8% that was in the US. All right, so let me go to my StreamYard. I need to get this link over to him, because I don't think he's got this link. And I don't want this to be vibrating all over the place, but I got to send a link so he can get on the panel, because I really like you guys to talk, because Ghani is really, man, a very intelligent brother out of England. He's got a law degree. Yeah, that's pretty rare, right, brothers? He's got a law degree. So I'm really proud of this brother. And I've spoken to his dad. He comes from a good family. So this brother's he's gonna go far. He's gonna go far. Let me see. They just sent me an email, so I gotta go ahead and put this in. I gotta get this over to Ghani. So 687. Okay. So make sure this brother's gonna get up here. So here we go. So I'll copy the stream. I'm gonna send it over to Ghani. There we go. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay, got it. Ghani's here. Okay, cool. Okay. There we go.
Hey, everyone, what's
What
going
up?
on?
What
What's
up,
going
dog? My
on?
dog. My
Hey,
dog. What up? What up, G? What up? What up? Brothers, it's my pleasure to
what's
welcome
going
to the
on?
stage today Johnny out of England. He's in Tokyo. He's like my nephew here, man.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
he's the only,
That's
he
right,
calls
man.
me Unks all the time. I love this guy, man. We hooked up. We're gonna be hooking up soon.
For
Um,
real.
brother, thank you so much for coming on the panel. I was gonna
You're
also invite Sean, but I think for him, he's got to go to work early in the morning.
Oh, cool, cool,
So
cool, cool.
that's why he couldn't. But I figured I did the time because I was thinking about you and I said, okay, I want to wait for Guy to get home and get all
100%.
showered up, do his workout. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm here, Alex, man. Thank you for letting me in the building. It's a blessing. Peace and blessings to the family. I hope everyone is keeping well. If you're in the States, if you're in the motherland, if you're in Europe, wherever you are, just around the world viewing in right now, peace and blessings. And, most of all, appreciations to Unks right here. You know, Uncle Tony is what I call him Unks. Appreciation, blessings just to having me on the platform. And we're trying to push this to the stratosphere. So, you know.
thanks, brother. Welcome to PSP, brother.
Thank
So
you.
if you can introduce yourself, just tell people a little bit about yourself, brother, because
Definitely,
I'm impressed with this brother.
definitely. So, my name is Ghani. I'm from London, United Kingdom. Born and raised, and come from a West African, Caribbean background as well, heritage-wise. So, UK is really where I just was brought up in, and London as well. Specifically speaking, my skill set is coming from a legal background. That's in corporate law, dealing with also HR, employment law, and other practices. And I came across Uncle Tony right here on another stream channel that I'm not going to mention just for cross copyright infringement or whatever. Want to keep it all authentic, but he's a very prolific person. So he's been on many different streams I've seen him on, and I've just was able to get in contact with him. So I'm just primarily someone who's always been a big advocate of brothers just expanding our horizon, whether it's in the country we're in or most importantly in this decade, going abroad. I think that there's pastures overseas that brothers need to see to realize that life is better than where you've been accustomed to. And until you truly go abroad, you're not going to realize that. But I don't think just a trip is enough. I think you have to also take the full venture and move abroad. And that's kind of what I did in a way when I researched Japan. Yeah, I've always had a big interest in Japan from a young age. Naruto, Bleach, anime, One Piece, manga, you name it, right? And so I always just said, well, I would like to definitely live in Japan, in the beautiful city of Tokyo, as well as to be able to explore the island of such rich history. And so, just after I finished university in 2020, I took a gap year. This is just before COVID, actually, in January, and I went abroad to Asia, where I went to four different countries. I went to China, Thailand, Vietnam, and Korea. I ended up staying in Korea for 1 year where I taught English and there just to be able to get past the lockdown that was occurring in London because I didn't want to be in that and also just be able to see the beautiful island of Korea as well. So I'm kind of used to Asian culture just in that sense there, just of spending time in different places, but also spending a long time in Korea. But Korea is, I would say, more Western than I think Japan is what I've come to know it. And for me, Japan has just been a complete culture shock and something that, takes time, brothers. So the one thing I'm going to be speaking to brothers about tonight is time. Why it's important to respect it, understand it, but also to give yourself that as well, so you can make the necessary adjustments you will need when you get here. Okay, we're talking about a country that's been around for nearly 1,000 years plus, 2,000 years plus, and
Yep,
it
longer.
hasn't
Yep.
it hasn't changed much, right? So you know, there's a lot of things you need to have time to be able to change yourself with and be able to adapt to this new process of life here. So that's just a introduction from myself, Unks, man.
No, no, brother. Thanks. And I want to tell you, brother, so how I met
Yeah.
Ghani. So Ghani, yeah, Ghani's right. He met me through one of the other streams. And I talked to Ghani. I never forget, Ghani had sent me a message and he said, hey, I'm gonna be going to Tokyo or to Japan in March of this year. And I was like, whoa. And he reached out to me. So I immediately reached out to him. Oh, we had to set the time up because we scheduled him.
Uh,
But
yeah.
I got back to him and his dad. And I never forget, I was talking to him and his father. His father's beautiful people, man,
Uh,
good people. I
Yeah.
can't wait to meet his dad. And I knew right away that this brother was going to be successful just by talking to
Yeah.
him on the phone. He was very organized. He was looking forward to moving over to Japan
Absolutely.
and both getting his career going. And of course, living in Japan, brother, like Gandhi just mentioned earlier, it's going to take work at first to get yourself set up, brother. You're going to
Oh
go through this up and down spell. It's going to take work. You're
yeah.
going to get to the point where you're like, oh man, I'm out of here, man. I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that. But
Yeah.
if the thing is, like Gandhi said, is time.
Yeah.
You gotta stick to the time. Just like me and my wife, we've been married 16 years,
Yeah.
and you see my video on the Brothers in Japan
Powerful.
where I said if you've been
Yeah.
married to a Japanese woman for only a few years
Yeah.
and you want to move to Japan from the States, I wouldn't do it. Even though it's the States is hard
Yeah.
because you don't, number one, you need to solidify that relationship with that woman first.
Yeah.
And in Japan, relationships take time. You know, you see brothers like, oh, I dated this girl for a year and Japanese women suck. That's nothing. A year is nothing to a Japanese.
Right.
It's nothing. You need to put the time and work in the relationship to where you feel because Japanese want to feel very comfortable around the person.
Right.
That's what they consider a good relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
Gani, I was going to ask you, brother. So,
Away. Yeah.
okay, so you're working at the Nova School now,
Yeah.
but without giving out too much info, I know that
Yeah.
you have big dreams and big aspirations, and that you are on track to meet those
Yeah.
aspirations.
Definitely.
You know, how would you what would you say to a young brother
Yeah.
that's because I know you and I had talked about the different age demographics of brothers, the retirement brothers,
Yeah.
but we want to focus on the young bloods too. What would you say to a young brother coming out of college that wants to get to Japan?
What would I say to a young brother coming out of college who wants to get Japan? That's a very good question, Alex. I would say to him a number of things. I would say to that brother, first of all, have a plan. So before you even think about coming to Japan, I would say have a plan. What is the intention behind coming to Japan? What is your methodology for liking Japan? Um, there's so many reasons that people want to come to Japan. And for young brothers, especially who grew up in the West, I know a lot of us grew up through the anime culture, the historical lens of the samurai, and other different things. So I think that's primarily what gets us drawn to Japan. But I would say it goes much deeper than that. You have to think about what real aspects of living in Japan do you want to experience that you're currently not experiencing in your own country. And that, for me, is going to help you to be able to detail your plan to a greater extent where you're going to be able to have sufficient knowledge of what you want to do in Japan. So the first thing is having a plan. That plan needs to consist of your why. Your number one reason has to be your why. What is the primary reason for wanting to go to Japan? It doesn't have to be anything that is going to be recognized as all as a good idea. It could be your own personal idea, whether it's lower cost of living, whether it could be wanting to live in a land with beautiful women, whether it could wanting to be the chance of living in a land where you're going to have the opportunity to experience life in so many different ways, such as going to Mount Fuji on the weekend, then going to Nagano Prefecture for skiing. The variety you'll have in Japan could be a key reason, but having a plan is the primary reason. And so that's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm going to give three reasons. A plan is the first one. The second one I would say to a brother is have your skill set. And when I say a skill set, I mean have an intention behind what you want to do with your life. It doesn't have to be something you want to do for the rest of your life, but it has to be something you want to do for the next 5 to 10 years that can allow you to have a sufficient means of income that will allow you to enjoy Japan to the fullest extent. So, for example, if I say to a brother, come to Japan and they want to come to Japan, I would question them on what skills that have you learned in university. And I think it's very important that you realize that although coming from a university in a Western setting is something that you may think will limit you, actually it doesn't, depending on what your skill set is. So, for example, if you come from university and you've studied, literature or something like that, that may have some limited limitations to it. But if you're willing to change, some of the things that you can be of service to for Japan, you'll open you up. So I'm going to add on that have a skill set, whether it be a degree, whether it be you being a serious coder that will allow you to get a digital nomad visa. I would recommend to brothers coming out of university just straight away having a skill set that allows you to have some tangible skills. So one of the hard skills, I would say, whether it's law, whether it's computer science, whether it's something that's going to be of practical applicability to Japan. You always want to choose something that's going to be of practical applicability to Japan, because Japan is in desperate need of talent. And there's some areas of the sector in the public and private sector where they need talent specifically, like the computer sector. So if you're coming from a university and you have a computer science degree, think of how can you market yourself to be the best person you can for companies in Japan, and maybe multinational companies as well here. There's a huge need for talent, foreign talent specifically. So I would say that as the second reason, a plan and a skill set. The third thing I'm going to say to a brother coming out is have a sufficient, if not already, a sufficient means of income that you already have at your disposal, or
Mhm.
a plan to make income. The number one thing you want to have when you come to Japan is money in the bank already. Just because it takes time, once again, it's time to get set up here, whether it's through having some type of means for a um, a house buying, sorry, getting your apartment, or being able to just get that flight ticket, whatever it is. You need to have sufficient means of income. Emergency fund is the best thing to have when you come into Japan. I would recommend it be applicable to maybe 5 to 6 months, depending on how long you are looking to stay here. But having that emergency plan there is going to allow you to have the best ability to be able to maneuver the various different difficulties and challenges you're going to experience in your first initial weeks and months coming to Japan. So, for example, you're moving to Japan for a long-term stay, like myself. You're gonna have some things that are gonna come up, like apartment costs, a my number card, registration, different things that are gonna come up, and you're gonna want to have a sufficient amount of income and cash flow that will allow you to be able to navigate that easily. So, I would say 5 to 6 months worth of savings is something you're gonna want to have there as well. But the main thing I would touch on is the plan. The plan is the thing that's going to take you forwards, and it's the reason why I think, which we'll get onto, probably going to ask you about later, Unks, is maybe some of the pitfalls I see or I've encountered with many people who've been in Japan, who maybe have been here but haven't been as successful as they like or could be. And I think having a plan is the number one way to get over that. Yeah,
Yeah, brother, that was a good was good. That was good advice for the young bloods coming out of university, brother. And
yeah,
I also want to add to that too, is I know that some people when they get to Japan, I know Gani and I had talked back and forth about this, is their goal may be bigger than just being in Japan.
yeah.
And I get that. And I see where Ghani's coming. We going back and forth over this.
Oh
Me, of
yeah,
course, I'm selfish, man. I always want to try to keep Ghani in Japan.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I know that what I want to tell the brothers, and I'm saying this for the first time, is don't be afraid when you get here and you realize that you may have to leave the country for a few just to get what you got to get to
Right.
return back to be able to stay for good.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So you're a young blood out of college, like Ghani, you're only in your 20s. Yeah, I'm not saying get here and stay here forever.
right.
What I'm saying is if you can do that,
Do
but
it.
you
Do
have
it.
to have your finances and your
Yeah,
system set up. Here's
yeah,
what happens, and this is what I love about Ghani, and Ghani's not doing this, is people get here and they teach in English at an English school. The English schools we know, but they don't pay well. Trust me, they don't pay well.
yeah,
But if you have a job, contrary to popular belief, as long
yeah.
as you have a job in Japan, you can live. You can live. You can eat. You can live.
Definitely.
Now, are you going to be satisfied with that income? More than likely, no.
Right.
But here's what I'm getting at is that Ghani quickly realized that that's not where he wants to be ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I know because I spoke to a brother who moved into Kyushu, he never took advice. He fired his
Right.
job, and while he was at his job, he had met some teacher that was a boss of his that had been teaching English in Japan for 20 years.
Yeah.
Brothers, I'm here to tell you, if you teach English in Japan for 20 years, you're not smart because you're not making that money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But Ghani quickly realized that, look, I can't do this English teaching thing forever,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not, what I'm saying is this brothers get here out of college, not,
Yeah.
people, and they get here and they're like, hey, man, I'm out of college, I'm having fun. They're dating the Japanese girls, the girls think they're cute, blase, blase.
Yeah.
But guess what happens? if they never establish themselves and all they're doing is chasing women all the time and teaching English, which a lot of these guys have done, guess what happens 20 years later? You find yourself broke. And guess what you didn't do after being in Japan for 20 years,
Yeah.
barely making money?
Yeah.
You didn't put into your country's social security.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you get older, you may find that you have to work at least 7 to 8 years just to be able to qualify for your country's social security.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put money into Japan, but that Japanese ninken, that they call it, ninken, is
Lincoln.
not going to be enough when you get old to live in
Absolutely.
Japan. You haven't
Absolutely.
set up anything.
Yeah, yeah, and I would touch on that as well. 'Cause I think it goes to, I think, a sense of complacency. Look, brothers, I'm gonna tell you straight up, man. When you come to Japan, you're gonna experience a life you'll be like, why was I not born here, right? I always say to Japanese people I come across, you are the most luckiest people in the world. You have all of this information at your disposal, from the cars to the houses to the low cost of living, from the sushi to everything you have, the women, whatever it is, you have that. The whole world envies you because the whole world has been watching your soft power for the last 40, 50 years. So, everyone realizes Japanese company and Japanese powers. Everyone wants to come, at least not live here. So when you come here, brothers, you're going to have that sense of surrealism where you say, wow. And that wow is going to last for a long while, depending on how you live and how you take it. But the main thing is making sure that wow does not stop you from being able to get that plan done, is what I will go back to again. So I think, as Unks touched on, primarily why teachers from abroad have these issues or encounter them is because they still are caught up in the wow factor, and they haven't looked and said, what am I doing with my life? Because time in Japan goes like this. It goes very fast. And from 7 a.m. in the morning, you'll see people on the trains to the early mornings. And that is something that just is back and forth, back and forth. The clock just always goes, it always ticks. So you really need to have that plan of action. And while you're having that plan of action, that wow factor will be even more bigger. So I would say to brothers, as you just touched on, have that idea of not wanting to stay in something like English teaching for that long. I do know, Unks, that when it was the 90s and so forth, that was the big boom. So, I can still see why a lot of people are attracted to it for that extent. But you're absolutely right on that point there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you're right, Ghani. It was big in the 90s. And the reason it
yeah,
was funny because I taught at the same company that Ghani's at now in the 90s.
yeah,
And I'm going to give you an example what the difference in pay structure is
yeah,
I was teaching in Osaka, and I was able to work on my days off and get a lot of. There was plenty of overtime because the company at the time was growing. They
yeah.
was opening up new school offices every week, right? But what happened was in 2005,
Um,
it caught up with them. Their
right.
system of opening up the schools, but they didn't have enough teachers. So, because the way the system works at Nova
Yeah,
and most English schools is students would pay like a set amount of money, like say like $3,000 or $6,000 for
yeah,
3 years worth of classes,
yeah,
right? And then they get these tickets and they say, okay, I want to make a reservation for here. But what was happening was it wasn't able to make the classes all the time because they didn't have
yeah,
enough teachers. But
yeah,
Nova was collecting the money anyway. So one of the students started complaining about it to the government. Another student. And one thing you brothers got to understand about Japanese government, they listen to the people a lot better than they do in the US and UK.
yes,
And
definitely.
they will investigate. They investigated and they found out that the owner was fraudulent.
Yep,
So they sent him to prison. They went bankrupt in '05. Somebody else bought the company. And now Ghani's getting, not like me, where I was getting
yeah,
paid a salary, regardless of how many classes I taught. Ghani's system now is he gets paid per lesson.
yeah, yeah,
See, which is not the best way to get paid because holidays come, you don't get enough lessons, you ain't making the money,
right.
right? And we talk about this all the time. I don't want to put the business out in the street because I'm not. These are just things that are already known with Nova. That's why
Yeah,
I'm saying that, right?
definitely.
So, so here's what Ghani did, and I want to brag about this man because I love bragging about this brother. So what this brother has done is he's put himself in a situation where he is looking at pursuing other interests.
Yeah.
He's doing really well at Nova at his position, right? He's doing
Yeah.
very well, and he goes to work. He's enthusiastic. The students love him. They love him there. But everybody knows that he has the right as a human being to pursue happiness.
Yeah.
And he has put together a plan, not putting together, he has put together a work in action to where it will take him to the next level in Japan.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to discuss that, and I don't think Gani will. We're private about that
Of
because
course.
everybody's got different things.
Yeah.
Once he reaches that goal, yeah, he may feel free to discuss it, but
Yeah.
I don't want to give away this what he's trying to do. All I'm saying though is that he recognized that English teaching is not the long way to go. He loves Japan, and
Definitely.
now he knows that he has to put himself, well, he has already put himself on the path to where he will become successful in Japan no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you, brothers. You can be successful in Japan.
Of course.
You're not going to get rich in Japan, but if you know how the system works using international dollars, this,
Yeah.
that, the other, investments, this, that, the other, you are going to get rich. You will
Definitely.
get rich, you
Definitely.
know. And the one of the best ways to do it though is if you can work for a foreign company in Japan,
Yeah.
because foreign companies pay very well,
Multinational.
very well.
Yeah.
I would advise against working for a Japanese company. Like you seen the brother on Black Experience Japan. The brother is
Yes.
working. He's doing really well,
Yeah.
but is he making a lot of money? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think he's making a lot of money. Is he working a lot of hours?
Right.
Yes. The
Yes.
brother's probably doing a 60 or 70-hour work week.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I think, when you come over here, you have to um adapt, I think, very easily. It's gonna take some time to adapt to the
Yes.
circumstances of Japan. But when it comes to the work options, coming from a foreign perspective, you have to think of what you want to do. Teaching English is one of the biggest ones because it's just so easy to get the visa if you have the requisite qualifications and experience.
Mhm.
But from there, as I said, you can just go forth into different things, which is why it goes back to what I said, having that plan and having the skill set. And if you have the requisite skill set, there will be companies here who will look for you. So I think, honestly, I think one of the things that brothers are gonna have to realize is that you need to have that patience, but you also need to have that fire inside to want to
Yes.
achieve something in Japan because there's many things in Japan you can achieve that you can't achieve back home in the West. And
Yes.
it goes far beyond women or anything like that. It's about the personal satisfaction you can have when you walk down the street in a suit, or
Yes.
when you walk down the street on a train, when you get in the train and people look at you like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" Dressed up very nice and so forth. There's certain things about living here as a foreigner that just allows you to become a new person and embrace a new identity. And to go back to what you said about just coming from that English teaching background, that is the start, brothers. Wherever you come here, just remember it's the start. You can always change and build on what you have. So I think having that plan is something that is going to be very vital, as I said, for being able to do that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's very good advice. With the
Yeah,
brother saying he's right on. He's spot on point. Another thing I want to say too. So you're here in Japan.
yeah,
When you get here, no matter what you do, you're working for a company. Yeah, they may not be paying you what you want to get paid. The yen is not happy. Trust me. If at the end of the day, does not make a person feel good when they get paid.
yeah,
But my thing has always been when I was in Japan, every single day I went to work was always enthusiastic, and the
smile.
students
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah,
Japanese will pick up on that energy. If they know you love them and they know you love to teach, they love it.
yeah.
Japanese do not like being around negativity.
No, they
They
don't.
get that every day in the society. Being a Japanese over here, to be honest, brothers, it sucks being a Japanese. It's the social pressure is amazing. But
Yeah.
see, for me,
Hmm.
I love living in Japan as a black man
Yeah.
because I don't want to be Japanese. I know I'll never be Japanese, and I don't care.
Right.
I
Right.
love living here as a black man because I can walk down the middle of Tokyo. at
Yes.
2 o'clock in the morning in my underwear,
Yeah.
and nobody will bother me.
Yep.
Nobody.
Yep.
The cops may say, "Oh, excuse me, sir, why are you in your underwear?" And I just look at them and say, "Oh my God, I forgot to put my pants on." And they will say, "We will take you to your house, and thank you so much. We are so sorry we had to take you back." They will
Yeah.
be apologizing to me for taking me back to
Definitely.
my house that I didn't want to, just to get
Definitely.
my clothes.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yes.
See? And another thing I want to tell the brothers, and Ghani can attest to this: stop worrying about the brothers that's being negative on YouTube. Johnny
Yes.
Somali, what the hell you want to call himself?
That's a. Can I speak on that, Unks?
Yes, brother.
Let
Yes.
sorry to keep it honest. One of the things that I think kinds of look, I want to be honest about Japan, brothers, in this lens. There is a big difference between what you see on YouTube about Japan and what the hell you experience living in Japan. I'm talking everything ranging from the adult censored content to the minimal stuff or trivial things of everyday society. Like, yes, there are some things that you see on YouTube that do have some sense of authenticity and truth, but you really have to live in a country to understand it. For example, if I look at, well, like many Japanese people here look at, American news and think, oh my God, American school shootings, another one? Like, how dangerous is it? I'm pretty sure that school shootings don't happen all the time in America, right? So there are some safe places in America. So I say that to say that sometimes our perception of media can cause us to stereotype and have a false image of something, and it can often lead us to just having false ideas about what a place is like. So the one thing I would say to brothers is, come here, see it for yourself. That's the old aid adage to gain experience about anything new. Come and see it for yourself. So one thing I would say about these videos where you have people who are going around being completely obnoxious and rude in society, I would say, brothers, don't pay that too much mind because that's taking your eyes off the ball. I would say you want to pay your mind and attention to what you want to do when you get to Japan. Yes, it is discourteous for people to be showing Japan in a bad light like that, of course.
Mhm.
However, you have to realize that that is not what you want to focus your energy on. There's so much more beautiful things of Japan every day that happen than just those small incidences. And when I get on a train every day and I look at another person on the train, very rarely do I ever have any mean stares or anything like that, or get into anything like that. So, and that goes for people I've spoken to as well here. So I would say focus on the positive aspects, like anything, not the negative, and that is going to help you to have a greater, broader understanding of Japan, and stop listening to people that haven't lived in Japan talk about
Yes.
Japan, because you wouldn't take advice from someone who's fat on how to lose weight, would you?
Yeah. You know what, man? And I was gonna I can touch base on that too. What Ghani is saying is that there are streams out there where brothers, I mean, I gotta call it what it is. And I called the
Yeah,
brother out on one of the streams that he was running and let him know that he had like 34,000 brothers looking at his channel, and he does a Patreon and everything, and he's doing really well. And I respect this brother, good to go. But when I see them talk that not bad, but talk, just give out the wrong things about Japan, man, I had to get in there because
right.
brothers, I know Japan.
Yeah,
I know Japan. I've been living in and out of this country, brothers, for almost 40 years.
yeah,
Almost 40, brother. And I've been studying Japanese culture since I was 6 years old. So I know Japan.
yeah.
And you get these brothers up there saying, "Well, man, you just an old head, man. You it changed." No.
No, man.
And like
Japan
Ghani
has not
said,
changed.
it does
Has
not
not
change.
changed.
Brothers, they had 250 years of straight peace during the Tokugawa shogunate, and
Yeah,
they were able to cultivate their culture.
yeah,
How many societies in this whole world has had 250 years consecutive in modern times to refine their culture?
no.
No one. So, brothers, I'm here to tell you, when you think that these women that from the West are coming over here and they're going to change these Japanese girls, no. Uh-uh. A young Japanese girl may go with the flow, but eventually they will wake up and say, it's time for me to get married
Yeah,
and raise a family.
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm going to be alone and
All right,
poor
all right.
because the Japanese government, they don't do too well for single moms and single women over here because to them, if you're still single in your 30s and 40s, it's your fault. That's the way they look at it.
Right.
Because
Right.
you're gonna get some liberal from the US. Oh, that's not right. Let's protest. No, it's part of the culture.
Yeah.
It's a culture of well-being. It's a family-oriented culture in Japan.
Yes.
That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's just nothing wrong with it. So when you get over here, and I've seen this brother Ghani work, it's gonna take work
Yes.
for a brother to get things set up over here.
Yes.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
You can't get here in a year and just because you're not making it like you want, you're like, oh man, I'm done. I ain't making it over here, man. No.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because what's gonna happen when you set up a network, when you leave,
Yeah.
guess what's gonna happen? The
They're gonna
month
pull
you
you.
leave, everybody calling you up and asking you, are you still in Japan? And you don't. And you missed out.
Right. 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 And speaking on that, one, I just want to say, you know, um, at times, guys, it's gonna get frustrating. You're gonna ask yourself, what is the reason I'm here? And just to be open with everyone, we all deal with doubts. But it's having and being subscribed to a channel where you have someone like Uncle Tony just giving you this advice. It's gonna help you to understand and remember your why. And so one of the things that happens through every difficulty is we all have those doubts. But the main thing about it is that we need clarity to understand that what we're doing is making sense and it will make sense in time. So having Uncle Tony, my advisor on this mission, it just means a lot to me. And I think the brothers coming over here as well, you just want to be open and honest to someone like Uncle Tony about how you're feeling because he's someone who's experienced Japan in, out, and through it, thick and thin. So you need someone who can give you that advice. That's why another reason I would say subscribe, go to him for advice, anything you have on this topic. But speaking of the network, one thing I've noticed in Japan is that foreigners, especially people who are in different positions, they do have a tendency to stick together. And that can work for your benefit when you meet other foreigners or like-minded people. And one thing that I've noticed when I've met a lot of brothers over here from the States or, wherever, one thing they always say to me is, hey, so when are you free next? Like, let's hang out. And that's just upon, meeting. So I've taken a lot of contact details that way. And one of the things that helps with is being able to have a network that you can ask for help on certain issues, or maybe they can invite you to certain places that you would never gotten to go otherwise. So there's so many things here just from being able to establish that network and having the patience and time to take that in that is gonna be able to pay dividends down the road much further. And I think it's important just to have that there.
Yeah, it is because you first of all,
Yeah.
you have to what brothers need to understand is, and I think that a lot of brothers have this problem, that you need to commit to something.
Right.
You need to commit, and like Ghani kept saying, and you need a plan.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. And this brother knows I called him out on it last night. We was talking on the phone. My brother from South Africa. He knows I love him, but he knows brothers know me. I'm transparent. I'm gonna tell brothers straight up what's true. I'm gonna blow smoke on nobody's ass. What I don't, what I didn't, what I need brothers to remember to do is when you make a plan and you try to do a goal and try to reach a goal, if you don't reach that goal,
Mhm.
you need to know why you didn't reach that goal.
Right.
And that way, you know why you didn't reach the goal. Because trust me, there's nothing wrong with not reaching the goal at a certain time. That happens all the time in the IT world. When I was working in the IT, it happened all the time. You won't sometimes reach that line. You have to okay, didn't reach it. Here's where we are. Why? What we need to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if you reach that goal, don't just say, "Oh, hey, you talking about excuses why you didn't reach it," and you start talking about something else. No,
Right.
you need to understand why you didn't reach the goal, and you need to work on reaching that goal.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. It's sort of like if you look at, and I hate to bring this up as an example because I'm not trying to turn this in a political forum, but the thing that our president, who I'm not a fan of, but I do like what he said,
Yeah.
the Israelis are getting ready to invade Gaza,
Right.
right? But The Israelis don't have a clue what they're going to do
Right.
when they get to Gaza.
Right.
All they know is they want to take care of Hamas. Great. You do have the right to defend yourselves against Hamas. But what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And what's going to be the aftermath once the war is over? Because contrary popular belief, wars do end.
Yeah.
They will end one day.
Yeah.
And what's left? Are you going to govern Gaza?
Yeah.
Are you going to allow Palestine to go in and govern Gaza now
Yeah.
that you've so-called eliminated Hamas?
Yes, man.
But don't you realize that you will never eliminate any terrorist group that you consider terrorist group until you let Palestine run their own country
Yeah.
and stop occupying their land. That's it. But that's another thing on the side. But the reason why I brought that up is because that's what I'm saying. Brothers have to have a plan. There's
Yeah.
too many brothers out there hoping and praying for stuff.
No, man. No, not in
They're
this day and
like,
age. Yeah.
you in this day and age, you can't just be hoping and praying. It doesn't work. Look, I'm not going to disrespect a person's religion. And to me, the word hope and pray has nothing to do with religion.
Right.
Hope and pray. I hope it doesn't rain tomorrow because it's supposed to rain tomorrow in my area in Japan. That's something that I can't control.
Yes.
You don't hope for something that you can control. Oh, I hope I do good in my homework, or I hope I pay my rent. No, you have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
See? So I got up on the stream tonight and I told Gani, me and Gani talked about it because we talk almost every day.
Yeah.
And it was, it was Gani who really helped push me to do the stream, which I really appreciate. And the reason why I got up here because I had that conversation with my brother in South, with Art. We both know this brother in South Africa, and it's out of tough love. I love the brother in South Africa, and I just want all the brothers that are like that to know that if you don't reach a goal, it's not that you failed. It's just that you need to know what you need to do to get that goal and
Yeah.
why you didn't reach the goal at that specified time.
Right.
That's what
Right.
you need to know.
Yes.
You don't have to waste time explaining to a brother why you didn't this, that, blah, 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 making excuses for it. You have to know in your heart why you didn't reach it and what do you need to do to reach it in the future.
Yeah.
That's what you need
Yeah.
because you'll never get nothing. I can honestly say brothers that work on that platform like that will never get to Japan
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ghani and I both know 95% of the brothers that watch these streams on Japan, they will
Yeah.
never get to Japan.
And speaking of that, I just want to reference as well. Earlier today, I sent you that screenshot of the amount of
Yes.
residents there are in Japan. I think that's maybe something we can touch on later. You can touch on definitely in other streams well. But according to statistics of the Immigration Bureau from Japan, there is about 61,000 Americans here at the moment, and I think in total, the highest foreign immigrants, people who live in Japan, are Chinese first, Taiwanese second, and I believe Americans third, right? And then underneath that,
Uh,
different nationalities. I think so.
America was actually way down. I saw
Yeah,
that chart you sent me.
America. So
I,
America's way down. Yeah,
yeah, I wanted to expound on that. What Ghani was saying, he sent me a really good article about that. I knew the numbers Americans were low, but I
yeah,
didn't realize they were that low. And
I do.
and out of 3 million people, that's not even 10%. That's not
Yeah,
even one. We don't even comprise 1% of the country
I was
of the
shocked.
right? Because we would need to have 300,000, 300,000. No, I'll tell you about 30,000. No, we actually do. We comprise more than 1%. Yeah, we do because
Right,
we got over 6,000. 30,000 is 1% of 3 million.
right.
But what I'm getting at is imagine how many brothers are in that.
That's the
Not
thing.
many.
Now, this is what I was gonna say. This is what I was gonna say. This is why I'm pushing so hard for brothers, but to understand this is because out of that percentage, think about how many brothers now have passports. How many brothers have been told about the advantages of traveling? Not many. So there's a handful, and most of them probably are in Tokyo. Outside of that, probably not much. So I think one of the reasons why us pushing so hard on this, and I'm giving you brothers the truth as well, is because there's room here for you, but you just need to be able to make yourself fit into the room, and you have to dial to start doing the work, whether it's going back to school, doing something to just push yourself into that next gear to get here. Because I will say it like this, and I've heard it from someone who is a very senior person in Japan, and they've been here for a long time as well. They said to me that Japan is going to become like Switzerland, where it's going to be a land of high tier immigrants and high tier foreigners only allowed. And one of the things that I deeply fear, is that brothers who are watching these streams or brothers who are hoping to get to Japan don't make it when that legal system of Japan and entry requirements are changed, because they will change, eventually Japan is going to need higher foreign money. So I think brothers really need to start taking into account that time is ticking, and you know you need to get your show on the road.
You know what, brother?
Yeah.
Gani, you took the words right out of my mouth on that. There's a lot of articles flying around Japan now where they
Yeah,
are
man.
targeting high income tourists
Yes.
and high income residents to
Yes.
come to Japan. And like you said, Japan will be the next Switzerland.
Yeah.
And brothers, another reason why I did this video, Gani kind of pushed me toward it, but another reason why I started doing it, I wanted to do it because I want to let brothers know that you always seem to come in this shit too late.
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
see all these brothers getting into IT. Brothers, it's too late to get into IT. But all I
Yeah.
can do is say, all you can do is say, okay, I still got to try to do something with it. But we always seem to find out everything when it's too late.
The last minute. Yeah.
The last damn minute. Yeah, brothers will trickle in. You'll still get your IT job, but you're gonna wake up in a couple years and be like, hey, we don't need you anymore, man. We got this AI thing going on. We don't need you now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Same thing in Japan, where they're targeting these rich
Yes.
tourists,
Yes.
and Japan, if for all intents and purposes, is a high value country.
Very.
And what I mean by high value country, because I've been to 22 prefectures, brothers,
Yeah.
22 prefectures. I've ridden the Shinkansen 39 times,
Hmm.
and so I've been around this country. And what I mean is, everywhere you go, they have high class food. They have a
Hmm.
high level of good food,
Hmm.
high level accommodations. They have a high quality of life. Everywhere you go in Japan, the quality of life is high.
Hi.
Oh, but but what's good about Japan, separate from Switzerland now,
Hmm.
is that Japan is very affordable to get
Yes.
access to that high quality of life.
Yes.
But what's going to happen in the future, brothers, and so many brothers going to be left out, is you're going to start to see a shift, because I already see it. These Australians up the hill from me in
Yeah.
Miyoko that own all these businesses, even the brothers I know, a couple brothers up there, their prices are not cheap compared to, say, my wife went in the restaurant. I took her to the brothers' restaurant, and
Yeah.
she was right. She's like, "Oh, this place is kind of expensive." It
Yeah.
was. So you will start to see the prices going up to reflect Western numbers.
Yes.
They're still going to be low enough for Japanese, and they won't go to the Western extreme
Right.
in prices because inflation doesn't fare well in Asia.
Yeah.
But you will see a difference, like Gani said, to where that's why I myself, I said earlier in this stream, I feel privileged to live in Japan
Yes. Very.
because,
Of course.
right?
Of
Because
course.
it's one of those countries where once you get set up, you realize, shit, this is a nice place to live
Yeah.
because you don't have to worry about shit.
Yes.
My wife, she had a skin that she could too hot. She was and used to being she skin rash. She
Yeah.
went to the cost her $7. She went
Yes.
to get the prescription pill. It was only $4,
Wow.
less than $12. In
Hmm.
America, it would have cost her about six, seven, $800.
Hmm.
See, so we see Ghani's. I think Ghani's starting to really see it now.
Yeah.
The quality of life in Japan is so good because, like I said, that's why I put this park up behind me as a background. the park in our city. I can walk there with my daughter, and I can fall asleep with her and my wife and my kids in the grass with our stuff next to us, and
Peaceful.
I'll wake up, and my stuff will still be there,
Yes.
and nobody will touch it.
Yes.
I don't have to lock my car if I don't want to.
Mhm.
I don't have to lock my house if I don't want to. See?
Mhm.
So, like you said, Gani, I'm glad you brought that Switzerland thing up. It is going to turn into a Switzerland, which is what I always told my wife. I think Japan all along should have been neutral. I don't like Japan being affiliated with the United States.
Right.
To me, Japan should always be neutral, like
Yeah.
Switzerland. It should be the
Yeah.
Switzerland of Asia.
Yeah.
And I believe that my dream will come true. They will come out to the Americans and say, we want to end the security agreement.
I think so. But that's 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 a long conversation. You would have the insight to give a full detailed breakdown of that. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
But so me and Gani live here, and we
yeah.
are very appreciative. That's what I'm trying to say. You
Yeah.
appreciate living in
Absolutely.
Japan. It's
Absolutely.
not one of those countries where you live in here like, oh man, they all right. I'm out of here, man. They all right. No, every day I wake up,
Yeah.
I look around, I'm like, wow, am
Yeah.
I really here? Am I really in Japan?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you want to know what's funny is I put this up on the video the other day of
Yeah.
my home getting demolished. Um, did you know that okay, everybody thinks Japan earthquake, 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 earthquake,
Mm.
but not everywhere in Japan is bad for earthquakes.
Yes.
Did you know my wife checked this and I pulled it up on the site too? Each city has a different reaction to an earthquake.
Yes.
Each part of a city. So where we're going to live, right up at the edge of the Japanese Alps, my wife, the site said that the chances of us having damage to an earthquake are almost 0%
Yeah.
because we're built in our house on solid rock.
Yes.
But unfortunately, in the city I love, Tokyo side, and a lot of other places, Tokyo's built on sand and viscous soil.
Sweet.
So it's gonna liquefy easier. That's why they were
Yeah.
shaking the earthquake a lot. That's what happened to the big one in 2011 and what
Yeah.
happened to Kobe in 95.
Fukushima. Right. Right. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Fukushima. So when you live in Japan, as you progress and you find out you want to settle down, because Gani may not want to settle down in Tokyo. Let's say Gani gets himself, he's gonna get himself set up. He
Yeah.
may be like, I want to see what Toyama looks like. I want to see what
Yeah.
Sapporo looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe you might want to live in Aomori or whatever. But
Akita.
you
Yeah.
will eventually find your niche in Japan.
Yes. Yes.
And if you, like I told you, brothers, on my other streams, I'm not the guy to look for the nightclubs. I've done my nightclubs. I've got the nightclubs out of my system. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not telling you to live in places with great nightlife because
Mm-hmm.
the place I live in doesn't have a nightlife for expats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, of course, they got the nightlife for the Japanese all day long, but not for the expats. So you won't find no disco or anything like that where I live.
Yeah.
Where I bring to the table is I bring a high quality of life that I believe that brothers can obtain in Japan.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's what I bring to the table.
Yes.
And to get to that high quality life, you you're gonna have to prioritize what you need to do.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is don't spend all your time chasing women because you're never gonna get anywhere chasing women, no matter what country you're in,
Right. Right.
if that's all you do.
And touching. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
I think touching on that as well. I think it goes back to what I said. Be careful who you listen to. That's another thing I want to leave brothers with. Have a plan, a skill set, and also emergency funds. But the fourth one I'm going to say is be careful who you listen to. The reason being is because so many people will tell you about the beautiful things of Japan, like the women, which my God, they are right.
Yes.
But here's
Yes.
the thing, brothers, man, they are always going to be there. You need to make sure
Yes.
that you're the man that provide for them or in the position to take care of them when the time comes where you want to have a family, whatever. So you need to make sure that you have your shit together from the start. And that is something that's going to be crucial. You don't have to have it all together. We're all works in progress, but you need to make sure you have a plan to be able to get there, because the women are going to be here for you. And, like everywhere in the world, they're going to find that one. Eventually, you will. And when you do, you want to make sure you have the sufficient means or whatever is at your disposal to take care of her and the family you'll have. So one thing I know a lot is when I see brothers here who have children and so forth, they've spent a lot of time being able to establish themselves in a great way, so that when the family does come along and they need to have a child, a wife, they're able to do that. So you want to always be thinking about making sure from bat the get go, you have everything on a plan and you're working towards it. And that's something that's going to help you a lot in being able to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Um, Also, I would say as well, brothers, one of the things that I've noticed here is when you're here in Japan, you are going to be living the life that you've never dreamed, which is, as I said before, it's going to be something that's going to be new to you in all senses. You want to make sure that you fully appreciate it. Realize that Japan didn't need to let you come and live here. They didn't
Yes.
need to, say, hey, you can come. They could have said no, which rightly they do to many people, I think. But realize that when you've come here, you've been chosen out of a lucky few to come here. And many people in the world who are not from maybe the countries that we're from in the West want to come here, but unfortunately can't due to money or visa restrictions. So realize that every day you're here, it's a blessing to be this foreigner here. And when you are that foreigner, you truly want to take it in and make sure that you just fully look around you and say, wow, I appreciate being here. Because the more you appreciate it, the better it becomes. And it's going to really just grow and grow. The more you're grateful for, the more you have to be grateful for, in a sense. Or sorry, the more grateful you are, the more you have to be grateful for. So yeah, you're gonna have that in a sense as well.
Yeah, because I like what God was saying too about the women too,
Yeah.
because you appreciate them, but the women are always going to be here, man. I mean,
Yes.
and I think I told Gani this to be the first time before he even came to Japan. I said this too. The women are going to be here.
Yeah.
The women are everywhere.
Yeah.
That woman that you see, that dime piece that you just passed up at the train station, that's not the last dime piece you're going to see in Japan. Trust me. There's a lot of dime pieces in Japan. Okay.
A lot.
But
Yeah.
what you need to understand is the Japanese man, the wise Japanese man, never marries the beauty queen,
Yes.
because the beauty queen is not going to do for his kids what the average Japanese woman will do for his kids. Because the average Japanese woman is beautiful. They're
Yeah.
not ugly. That's trust me. The average Japanese woman. So if you happen to marry a 6 or 7, then that's fine. If that's what you really choose to marry. You know. But see, here's what I'm getting at. It all boils down to family.
Yes.
And I want you brothers to know, with all these women here, you do not want to ever marry a woman from a broken home.
Can you touch on that, Unks? Can
Because
you explain why? Explain why to the brothers, Unks.
yes, yes. Let me
Yeah.
explain why. Because see, I was in a relationship with a few Japanese girls that came from broken homes, and what I noticed is they had no respect for men.
Okay.
No respect for men. Number one. Number two, they have no loyalty to a relationship, so they can't commit to a relationship. Because keep in mind, divorce, although my mother-in-law told me that divorce is rising in
Yeah.
Japan, is still nowhere near as high as it is in the West.
Yeah.
And Japanese come from two-parent homes, right? Another reason why you don't want to marry a woman that's coming from a broken home is because the father's role in the home is to monitor the daughter's, um, activity.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I get my wife, she's living in her father's home
Yes.
until 21 years, and then I take it back till she was 22 years old, and then she married me. See,
Fantastic.
so she never lived on her own in Japan or
Yeah.
in her life. Okay, she lived for the family. She homestayed with a friend of hers for a month or so in the States, but then she ended up going back home and then she married me. So I'm not saying that just because a woman leaves her home or parents' home and goes live in a home is bad, but what I'm saying is that her father was able to monitor her activities because she always had someone to report to when she came home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because she comes from a close family, a close knit family. So
Right.
that's why she's doing really well for the family that she's in now with me.
Yes.
See, family is important because and and you have to be comfortable with that woman. You have to be comfortable. You can meet a woman that other guys will think is a four, but if you feel comfortable with that woman and she's got a great heart, why do you care?
That's true.
And she can produce children for you, why do you care?
That's true.
You know? I mean, it's rare you're gonna meet a woman over here in a four in Japan, but
Yes.
I'm just saying, if you happen to do, if
Yeah.
she's got a good heart and she means well
Yeah.
and she comes from a good family, you're gonna go a long way with that woman. You're gonna
Definitely.
go a long way because you're gonna wake up 6, 7 years of marriage and you're like, oh damn, I pretty much can do. Like I tell you, I give you an example,
Hmm.
and my wife's an attractive woman, so I ain't worried about it on my end. But here's what happened. This is what I mean by being married to a Japanese woman, and I know because Connie mentioned women here is I just found out today that one of my friends that I used to teach with at Nova back in the
Hmm.
'90s is having a bonin kai in Osaka. Now,
Oh.
everybody, a bonin kai, what that means is that's an end of year party with your coworkers or your former coworkers.
Yeah.
That's what a bonin kai is.
Yeah.
So, so you get together, you meet for dinner, you have drinks, you reflect.
Catch
It's
up.
basically to get you flow, you beefed up for next year, right? To do well. They live in Osaka area.
Mhm.
All I told my wife is I said, hey, uh, I'm going to be in Osaka the end of the month, the end of November. And my wife's like, oh, wow, you can have a good time. I said, yeah. And that's it.
Mm.
And I'm going to stay for 3 nights
Yeah.
and I'm going to check out, do for the brothers. I'm going to do videos in Kyoto,
Yeah.
Kobe, and Osaka for the brothers while I'm there.
Yes.
See? Because my Brothers in Japan channel is what I do for the brothers. I'll
Yeah.
do like an hour or so speak in those cities. And then on my Tokyo 64 channel, I'll actually do the virtual walk video to
Yeah.
where people can see what it feels like to be walking around those cities in different
Definitely.
areas.
Yeah.
See? So, and no questions asked. My wife's not, oh my God, you're doing it. Yeah. No, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna find a hotel, babe. I'm gonna go ahead and make reservations.
Hmm.
That's it. That's what it's like being married to a Japanese woman that's on your purpose and that you don't have to worry about nothing. You don't
Yes.
have to worry about the drama. That's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
That's what I bring to the table here.
Yes. Yes. And the importance of it is, I think you represent maturity, youngs, which eventually is what inevitably we all are going to get to, whether we like it or not. You know, you're not going to think the same way you did when you're 30 as you did when you were 20. You know, it's going to continue to rise. So ultimately, the end goal is to get to that position where you have the established mindset that you have. And I think many of the things that brothers look at when it comes to Japan is the fun and glitz, like the women, the partying, the faces, the quote unquote, sexual relationships, whatever. But ultimately, that has to lead somewhere, you know. And I think this is why it's so important for brothers to look at your individual videos as well as the cohesiveness of your channel to understand that this is the end goal in a sense. I mean, what else are we on this earth for if we're not here to make a family and to provide in that way? Ultimately,
You,
that is the end goal.
you know what? That's what I always say. And some people might look at me and say, "Well, you're being prejudiced." I'm not, brothers. Trust
Yeah.
me. I've been in many different positions in my life. I worked in many different jobs. And when it's all said and done, the only thing that really matters is family. The only reason why we're on this planet is to reproduce, is to make other human beings. And that's why I always tell brothers, never put yourself in a situation with a woman that you cannot produce children with.
Right.
Now, granted, you marry a woman that can't, and you find out later she can't produce children, then that's just karma. That's
Right.
just the way life is going to be for you. But if you are, say, a young man like Ghani, and you run into a 45-year-old female, you know that 45-year-old female, the chance of her producing children to you are slim to none. Why would you put yourself in a situation where you're going to be with a woman that cannot produce children for you?
Right.
That makes no sense. Because you know what's going to happen. You're young. You're like, I don't need no kids. I don't need no kids. I don't need no kids. Then you're going to wake up one morning in your 60s. You're like, oh my God, I wish I had kids.
Yeah.
It's the instinct of the male is going to come out of you and say, I wish I had kids.
Yeah. That willingness to
Because I
reproduce.
know I got a friend going through that now. He's been
Oh
married to his
wow.
wife for 19 years, but they never had kids. And now all of a sudden he wants to have kids, but she's too old to have kids.
Okay.
And she's like 18, 19 years younger than him. But he's like, oh man, I wish I had. Well, what did I tell you? So you can always live the glamour life, but it's really, what is the reason for us on this planet? Really, the career, all this, everything else is bullshit. We are supposed to be making more of us in this planet. We are animals. We are and we have reproductive organs. So the thing about that I want to say is another thing about being in Japan that you're going to notice right away is that sex in Japan is overrated. I'm sorry, not in Japan. In America, in the West, it's overrated. They don't care about it. Over here, it's like drinking water in Japan. There's no big deal. You might walk down the street into a guy that you know that's married with 2 kids, and you see him with another woman in his arm. And as men, you talk to him, and then the next day you see him at work or see him somewhere else. Hey man, what's going on? Oh man, I'm all good. It's all good, man. So hey, I know I gotta take my wife and kids out this weekend. We're gonna have some fun. And that's it.
Yeah.
You ain't, oh my God, dude, are you crazy? You with this woman? Why are you with this woman? No, that's not the way conversations go in Japan. That's not. Because that man knows that you're a man and he knows that you're a man.
Yes.
And that's it. That's the end of the subject.
Yes.
There's no pointing fingers here.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what I love about Japan. They don't point.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to face consequences if his wife finds out if he didn't tell his wife about it? Of course, because of the kind of relationship they have. But that is an individual thing. That is a case-by-case event.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like America where they think it's automatic. Oh, he messed around with you, girl. Get rid of him. Get his money. They never think about the children.
Right.
A Japanese woman is not going to give up her marriage to the man that takes care of her kids, that has the income, for 20 minutes of pleasure. To them, that makes absolutely no sense.
The logic, right?
The logic does not mesh because they know as a woman, they will never get married. Divorced Japanese women rarely get remarried. Rarely get remarried. Japan is a society, and Ghani knows this by now. Japan's a society where you mess up once, you're done.
Yeah.
That's why you can't come to Japan and be committing crimes and not obeying the rules.
They won't allow you in.
They won't allow you in. You mess up one time, you are labeled a loser for the rest of your life in Japan.
Right.
Or a criminal or whatever the case may be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why. Go ahead, Ghani. I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, go on. Go on.
No, I was going to say that's why, as a collective society, together we keep the crime low. Together we keep it safe because I know the next man next to me is not going to attack me, and then he knows the man next to him is not going to attack him.
Yes.
That's what safety is about. Responsibility. Freedom is about being responsible.
Yes.
Not being a damn fool like they do in the States where, hey, I'm free, I could shit on someone's yard. No. Freedom is responsibility. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother.
I think it's important that I make that another point, which is one I want to add to that college student coming to Japan or wanting to come to Japan for the first time, or anyone listening. One thing I'll add that probably goes before having a plan is whatever you think of the world and how things should be, leave that behind. When you come to Japan, you are entering a new planet. And I've said that to many people who I've come across that are Japanese and non-Japanese when they ask me about my experience of Japan. Japan is like Mars. It's a different planet than Earth. It has its own gravity. gravitational system. It has its own ways of doing things. Some of those things are going to make you maybe um, be annoyed, or some of those things are going to make you be quite happy. It depends on you and your personality. But one thing is for certain, you have to abide by it if you want to live here. And one thing I would say is to drop your ideas of what's normal in the West and just be able to adapt and come to grips with this is Japan. Japan has its own ways of doing things. And you really need to be able to get that down from the day you come here. So it may take some time to fully embrace, but if you're just open minded enough to say, whatever I've been taught about how the world should be, I'm going to leave behind where I'm coming from and I'm going to just go in with a clear mind, clear vision, and accept everything here, it's going to allow you to be able to navigate through things much easier here. So, that is something I really think brothers need to be aware of, man. Because that is also going to help you to avoid much of the BS you see through clickbait videos about Japan. Because trust me, Japan gets the most, I think, one of the most, it's the most baitest countries, I think, on YouTube. So
Yeah.
if you're able to come here with an open mind, you will see what's what for yourself. And when you see videos about Japan, such as suicide rates or anything of that nature, you'll be able to understand that, okay, that isn't the case per se as this video is making it out to be. So
Mhm.
please, brothers, come here with an open mind. Leave whatever you have about normalcy behind and come here and humble yourself, is what I want to say. Have some humility to know that you don't know right and wrong in every scope of things. People see the world different than you, and they have
Yeah.
every right to. Remember, this is a country that's been around for 2,000 years. Their culture was locked for over 200 years in the Tokugawa period. So they've been able to solidify that culture, as you've said, on. So you need to really come here and respect that. Respect what the hell they have. If they didn't have it, Japan, I don't think would be around for as long as it's been. So respect that and humble yourself when it comes to the knowledge you're gonna gain here, and just be open to seeing things for how they are and embracing it.
Yeah, because and I wanted to say the guy too. So Japan, they've been around actually for 30,000 years.
Wow, there you go.
From the Jomon Yayoi period,
Yeah,
this culture has existed in these islands because they separated from China, millions of years ago when that separation happened. But the thing is like Gani said, it's a different animal from the West.
yeah,
It's a different animal from the West. Yeah, Tokyo looks like London or New York or something, but under the surface, it's a totally different ball game.
yeah,
You can't just go anywhere in New York and get a cheap meal to eat. But in Tokyo, you can walk into a place and pay only like a few dollars and you get your belly full and it's
yeah,
good, healthy food and you're done and
yeah,
you're on the next adventure. So you can do that in Tokyo all day long. It's it's just one of those places where you have to, I always tell people to be open-minded, to get here and just to keep your mouth shut and listen and see what happens.
yes,
Because even me, as much as I know about Japan, I'm still learning things about Japan.
every day.
I'm still having like, believe it or not, my wife was surprised when we were watching this show on
Hmm.
Japan called Departures, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie. It was about what happens when people die in Japan.
Okay.
It was this guy who was a he had lost his job and he moved back to his home prefecture, and the only job he could find was working at a funeral home.
Wow.
And I never knew anything about what happens in Japanese culture when people pass away
Yeah.
until I saw that movie. And then, of course, we lost. My wife lost her uncle and her auntie,
Sorry.
who's both sweet people in Japan. That's when I came. I had my first experience of death in my family in Japan was of my auntie, my mother, my wife's mother's sister
Sorry.
dying,
Sorry. Yeah.
and I remember her telling me that she had cancer. We went there one New Year's and she was like sitting down there all normal. Said, "Oh yeah, I got cancer and I'm in stage 3 and so I'm doing my thing." And she was like all normal, even though she was gonna die, but she wasn't. She wasn't. She didn't live like she was gonna die till even to the rest of her days. She
Wow.
lived like she was gonna live. So Japanese approach that setting differently than we do. For example, my wife, the cemetery that really close to our house, where when people in her family pass away on the daddy's side, you know what they do, right? They cremate the body, and then the
Hmm.
remaining bones they put them in this box, and then those bones they went ahead and they put them inside the cemetery thing.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
me myself, when I pass away, they're gonna take my bones and put them in with my wife's family. See, so these are things that in the West that we never think about, we never say or pay attention to about what's going to happen. These are different things. So what I'm saying is, I'm learning, still learning,
Yeah.
so many different aspects of Japanese culture that I never realized.
Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
like the old, like Ghana, you probably starting to become aware of this. The omiyage system,
Yes.
omiyage.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we live in the neighborhood and we are responsible for 25 homes.
Yep.
We had to literally, when we moved into our house, we had to meet each and every neighbor
Yeah.
around here. My wife went and bought them gifts to hand out, little snack or some gift set to introduce ourselves to our neighbors. So now they know who I am.
Yeah.
When I go recycle the stuff, they know who I am.
Yes.
I know who the honcho is. I know who my neighbors.
Yes.
So these are things that Westerners, like my in-laws told me that live in Tokyo. My wife's cousin and her boyfriend said they don't do that. They don't do that in Tokyo. They live in a condominium in Tokyo. They said nobody cares in Tokyo in a
Mhm.
lot of parts.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm getting at, brothers. When you live in an area like me, like mine, in a town of 183,000 people, and basically like a countryside of Japan, the culture comes out even more. You
Yes.
start to see the intricacies of how they deal with each other. And that's why I put that one video out called Japan is a Community Society, because
Yes.
it is. So if you're the kind of brother that you want to live in the big fast cities like Tokyo and feel like you're back in the West, by all means, go for it. That's what I usually want to do. But I find that I've lived in different areas in Japan, luckily for me, that the area I'm living in, the way of life here is so much slower. Gandhi said the time flies for him,
Yeah.
but for me, it doesn't fly fast at all. It's so slow for me.
Right. I need to move.
Yeah.
I need to move. I'm
Yes.
getting old quick. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And if you find a wife out here where
Yeah.
I'm at, you are set for the rest of your life,
Yes, brother.
because these women will make sure that you are taken care of.
Yeah.
In Niigata, they will make sure you're taken care of.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, I completely agree about the communal aspect, and that's something that you mentioned when you got to hear in your first video, Zongs, on your Brothers in Japan video, especially. Um, you need to be able to understand that this is a country that predominantly is agrarian, so agricultural based, right? So
Yes.
you always had to help each other to be able to facilitate things and the production of things in the community. And to an extent, that's still true today. Whether it's taking out the trash, everyone needs to make sure they're doing their part to making sure they put the stuff in the right um, bags, whether you're at work or whatever, right? There's that communal
Yep.
aspect. So
Yep.
that's something that is going to require maybe some brothers to have to adapt to, and it may take some time, but it's something that you just have to put in to your system, because this is a country where you rely on each other a lot. Even if you're getting the train and you're squashed on the train, but someone else is coming in, you need to move over to make space. There is no my space is important as such. You need to make space for someone else in a sense. So
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead, Kanye. You're good.
no, no.
You,
So
I'm sorry.
it's I just think the importance is that drop whatever you've been told about Japan, drop whatever habits you have about yourself, and just open yourself to be able to change and fit in here. You don't have to become Japanese, you won't, but you can become the best model of yourself to fit here, and for people to like the fit that you have been able to accustom yourself to here.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Gunny. I just got a text from Dez.
Yeah,
So his comment was that he didn't know that he didn't know this the way you got view me as a loser. And I want to put that here on the street because I know watching this, we view you as a loser, Des. We see you out there on your thing. But now that you put it on blasted it on my text about this, what I really want to say is that, excuse me, is that you, like Gani said, you need a plan. And all we want to do is see you succeed. Gani and I talk about you all the time. And all we want to see, all we need to do is see you succeed because we care about a brother. We are not the kind of brothers, and especially myself, because I can speak for myself. I'm not the kind of brother that's going to just say, yes, 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 you're doing good, and yeah, 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 all the time. That's not me. I told you, it's going to take work. And if you're not doing what you need to do, I'm going to be the first brother to say, hey, you're not doing what you need to do. Because once you succeed, you will be very proud of what you did because you put in the work, is all I'm saying. So I just want to nip that in the butt. Nobody is calling you a loser because you're not a loser, because you're doing something to try to get something. All I'm saying, because I'm going to speak for myself, and if you were sitting in front of my table, I'd tell you to your face, what I'm trying to say to you is that you need to be making income. You need to be making some sort of funds. And if you don't reach a goal that you set for yourself, you need to find out why that goal didn't get reached, and you need to make a new goal. Is all I'm saying. That's why I brought that up.
Right. I think on that point, there's first and foremost, I think don't ever regard yourself as being a loser, man. Like you know my situation personally from coming from the UK to here, and it's not been the easiest of roads. But thanks to your help and Uncle Tony, I've been able to just navigate it quite successfully. So we all have periods where we may feel down or feel like we're losing, but that doesn't define us, right? So our current moment of blips does not define who we are in totality and where we're going. So look, this stream is open to helping brothers, and I just came on here to just give my perspective and help shed the light on what it's like coming in here as someone who's new to the country. And I've had my shares of wins and losses, and I want to make it open to brothers that you will have many successes and also some setbacks as well. That's life, as part of life. But I'm making this stream as transparent as it can be for brothers to be able to get the best start they can to Japan, and I'm giving the advice that helped me to be able to get there. So anyone who's listening to this today, just realize, man, that that's the way you have to start that process. And this is what this show and Uncle's channel is for, in helping you guys to be able to get the best start.
Yes, thank you, brother, because I can attest to Gani.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my third time living in Japan, and I've had my ups and downs in the first two times. And the reason why I'm doing well now is because I got it right. I finally got it right. Is because I had to go through what I wanted to go through, and that's why I'm passing this experience on to other brothers, because I would like to see brothers get to this path a lot quicker than me and not go through what I had to go through to get to this point.
Definitely.
Is what I'm saying. Because when I lived in Japan before, the last time I lived in Japan, I was poor. I was working poor. I had to work. I had to pay bills in the U.S. still. I didn't have hardly any money left over after paying bills. I was in a situation with a relationship where a female was just taking money from me constantly and didn't care about how to manage funds, nothing like that. And it was my own fault because I put myself in that situation. And because my wife is still surprised, you lived in Osaka, you didn't eat all this good food. No, I didn't, because I couldn't afford it. I really couldn't afford it. I was barely making it for the 3.5, 4 years I lived out that way. So I was barely making it. I had to leave Japan. But then I started learning more and started looking at, and like I'm saying to you, Des, on this one, is I started looking at my processes. Why did I not live good? Why did I not achieve my goals? And what did I not do? And I refined myself. And that's all I'm saying. And like I said, did the word loser come out of this conversation with me? No. And did the word loser come out toward you or anybody on here? No. What it is though, and what I got on the brothers is because I'm an in your face kind of guy when it comes to giving my brothers advice.
You been in my face.
I'm not the yes man. You want a yes man? You want somebody to blow smoke up your ass and tell you how great you are? Then you go get that person. Yeah. I'm not that person. And the reason why I'm not that person, because I've given a lot of brothers in my life, and a lot of those brothers have become successful. I'm not saying I'm the best guy in the world to give advice. But all I'm saying is that I care enough about my brothers to make sure that the advice that I give them is good advice, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, Ghani's right here. I can say it. Ghani was ready to leave Japan
Yeah,
many
man.
times. He was. "Well, I'm out
Uh,
of there." He's like, "Man, I'm done."
man. Yeah,
You know. But I talked to Ghani and I said, "Hey, brother, wait a minute.
yeah,
Where are you at in your processes?
yeah, yeah,
How can you find your processes?"
yeah,
This brother has jumped to great speeds in the last few months. He's
yeah,
just like going off. He's on another plateau right now.
yeah.
You know why? Because he stuck with his plan. He created a plan and he's sticking with it.
Right. But most important, I had someone like yourself, and uh, you to give me that advice, just to say, hey, excuse my language, stop bitching and just get down to work, And
Mhm.
we had that freeway call, you, my
Yep.
dad, and I. So I had
Yes.
you just tell me straight, and my dad as well. Look, stop the nonsense, stop whining, and just
We got his ass, man. And he
yeah,
took it like a man.
yeah, yeah, you just said like this is what you need to do. Stop clipping, shut up. So, at the end of the day, I think at times, right, we all, and this is maybe something for another stream as well. I think at times we all need that um loving but also deserving hand in our face just to say, this is what you're doing wrong, but you need to change and fix it. And this is what I see in you. And we know we need that as brothers sometimes, because some of us maybe don't grow up with our fathers or whatever. Some of us maybe grow up, with not a male authority in our lives to give us that direction and instruction. But believe when you give that advice, unks, you're giving out the goodness of your heart for me, which I had to correct my behavior on and see my ways, and other people as well.
Yep.
So I would say to any brother who's going to be part of this channel and watch these streams and take the advice in, and uncle is tough with you, just realize, man, that at the end of the day, you know, in the army, to get to where you need to go to, you're gonna have a sergeant who is gonna be tough on you. Not because he's
Yep.
being an asshole, but because he wants the best for you. And
Yep.
in time to come, you'll see that. So that's why I'm saying, brothers, man. Look, we're in Japan, brothers, man. We're in Japan, right? And you can get here as well. You will get here, many of you watching this stream. But this is very important that you take this advice now, that whatever Uncle Tony tells you to do or advises you not to do, it's important that you listen, because he's already lived through the hurdles. You don't have to go through that same hurdles, man. You don't have to touch the stove and burn your hand. You can learn without having to burn your hand, just through taking his advice and following through. And the one thing I want brothers to not have is regret. Regret will kill a man, you know?
Yeah, because I agree with you on that regret because I had a conversation with Dez, and I remember telling Dez that you don't want to be a 50-year-old man wishing you'd have been in Japan 20 years ago. You want
Right,
to be a 50-year-old man having lived in Japan for 20 years.
right,
I'm the 30.
right.
That's what I told him. I never mentioned the word loser. I don't mention the word. I don't call brothers losers. Because a black man can't lose because we already got beat down
Beat
from
down,
day
man.
one. We already got we got beat
Yeah,
worse than being a loser. We
yeah,
got two strikes in baseball since we were born. We got a yellow card the day we were born,
yeah,
right? So I wouldn't say loser in a sense. What I would say is when I give tough love to the brothers, I have to be that way because brothers need you in their face if they're going to get it done right.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Because we're men. We're men. We're responsible adults. We're men, and we can handle that pressure.
right,
We just don't know it, but we can handle that pressure. We can handle that tough love.
right,
You know, I didn't have a lot of people tell me anything like that until my dad came back in my life when I got older. He gave me the tough love, which is reason why I married my wife. He said, "Hey man, that's the woman for you." I was
right.
still trying to do this and do that, and then I knew I loved her, but he's like, "You need to make that decision, man. You need to make up your mind."
Yeah.
My dad pulled me through that.
And look where you
He
are
taught
now.
me how to be a man.
Look where
See,
you are now.
yeah, look where I'm at now. I owe it all to my dad because my dad, he never, my mom didn't want him in my life, but my dad just refused to be out of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah, he may have made some mistakes when he was younger, but as he got older, he started to realize, wait, I got this right here that make sure that he's gonna leave a legacy with me.
right,
See,
right,
so we so what anybody says, what our man Des says, he's not a loser. But
Hell
I
no,
think
Desmond,
that
you're bro.
we have to take that conversation offline one day and maybe do a three-way call with him. Des, all we're trying to do, along with you and all the other brothers out there, is to get you beefed up and get you to know that this life is going to be a rough ride, brother. If you before you make it to Japan.
And one thing I've always said to brothers, especially Des, man, if you're watching this as well, I've always said learn from my mistakes. So if I need to give any mistakes to brothers that I've did, I would want you not to do the same thing. That's the part of the reason why I'm talking on here now. I want you all who haven't, come through maybe the English teaching route to have other options. So I said have a skill set, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I want the best for brothers because let me tell you something that I love about Japan, right? And I don't know if I ever said this to you, when you meet another brother here in a club or let's say on a train or let's say you're going across the street, it's like it's like you guys just click. It's like, hey, I see you, you see me, I'm gonna give the thumbs up, I'm gonna touch the chest, you're gonna do the same, and it's like go about your day, take care. The amount of love admiration you have for each other is just so bigger here than it may be in some places back home where we're just so accustomed to seeing each other. And there's nothing more beautiful than seeing another brother happy, whether he's walking by himself or with someone else, and him just acknowledging your presence and you acknowledging his and keep it moving. That's it. Like that for me is the ultimate thing of satisfaction that this allows me to say, brothers, please do the work to get here because we need more of that. When you go into a club and you see another brother and he looks at you and you shake hands, or when you're going on the train and you meet another brother and he shakes hands with you, says hello. Come on, brothers, man. We need more of that. So this is why this stream exists, to get us having that positive feeling. Because
No,
we
I
are
love it,
remarkable.
brother. I am sorry, but I love it. You know what? You know
Yeah,
what you just reminded me. The
yeah,
first reason, the first idea in my head where I got to help the other brothers out is when I was living in Saudi Arabia for 4 years. When
yes,
I was in Saudi Arabia, what I loved is going down the street and every man was always showing the utmost respect for each other.
yep,
That's the Arab world, that's the African world. Is we see another man, we acknowledge that man, we respect that man, we say, how are you doing? How's your family? You never ask a man how's his wife. You say, how's your family?
yeah,
And he's jovial like you. Oh, my family's doing great, brother. Thank you for something so much, brother. Thank you, brother. Be safe, brother. Be easy, brother.
yeah,
You know, that I picked up on that in Saudi Arabia and I loved it. And
yes,
it never left me. It resonated with me. Even when I left, I was like, that's the thing that I kept looking for as a black man. I kept looking for that in the States and I never found it.
yeah,
The only way I found it is through the groups, through these streams that I'm on.
yeah,
Because I was able to portray that love back to the brothers.
yeah.
And like you said, when you're over here in Japan, you see another brother, man, it's a good feeling, man. You're like, yo,
I
brother,
see.
what's up? What up, man? What's
Let
going
me.
on?
I saw a brother the other day. He was coming. He lived near me. He's coming out of my house. This was on a Sunday morning. I was getting ready to go up and go to the gym. 6 a.m. He's coming from someone's house. I think it's a girl's house. He has his suit jacket on, his club jacket. He's coming up. So I see him and I walk past him because I'm walking from the back. He doesn't see me. But as we cross at the intersection and I'm crossing down, he goes like this to me, and I was like this, and then I can just see that the smile in his face just to see me. This brother's probably coming from somewhere, on the other side of Tokyo maybe or somewhere far, but just
Yep.
to have that pleasant morning surprise of seeing me, I seen him. We acknowledge each other. I'm saying, go about your day, my brother. You go about your day. That's
Yep.
something that we need, man. And
Yep.
nothing helps more than just being able to make the steps to better yourself so you can get here and have that feeling. Nothing's better than that feeling.
Nothing's better, brother. I mean, absolutely nothing. I know, brothers, and we're gonna shut the stream down in about 5 minutes, man, because Yanni's a working man. He got to get himself geared up tomorrow. Because I love when he goes to work and he's all jovial and he's got his energy going, man. He's because when you do that, you take over the whole day. I used to
Yeah,
do that at Nova. When I
yeah,
walk in the office, man, smiling, jovial, everybody's on my page. No matter
yeah,
what,
yeah,
everybody's on my page. And
yeah.
and that's how it is, man. That's how it is. For brothers, is I want to say this about Japan, is easy to be a man here.
Yes.
It is a man's world. It is easy to be a man here. When I
Yes.
walk out my house, I don't see a Japanese. Like I said, I see first I say, okay, who is this person? Is he my neighbor, or is he a postman, or is he a person to do service in my home or whatever? And or person. And then I look. The next thing I notice is gender. Oh, that's
Yes.
a man. Oh, that's a woman. The last thing I notice is that they're Japanese.
Yes.
That's the last thing I see is a Japanese person.
Yes.
So I don't look at a person and say, "Oh, she's Japanese" first. No, I
Yes.
look at them as a human being.
Yes.
So like I said, over here, being a man, I want to pass the floor over to Gani to give him
Yes.
his last statements on what he wants to say to everybody.
Thank you.
From
Thank
and I
you.
want to just thank him for being on the stream tonight.
Well, first of all, I'd like to send a huge appreciation to you guys for having me on the show. I think it's important, brothers, that you've been able to hear from me through my growth of just being here in the first year of being here in Japan, as well as growing above that. So you've been able to hear tonight some of my successes, some of my trials and tribulations, and I hope to have many more successes to share with you in the future of what you can do here. But what I would want to leave brothers with is this: realize that it's a journey and that you are going to have your own journey here. But you're going to have aids like this channel, Uncle Tony, to help you along that journey. Please use these aids in helping you along this journey because you don't have to, as I said, touch your hand on the stove to realize it's hot. You can have someone tell you what to do and what not to do so you can have the most successful path that is laid out for you. So please listen to the advice on these streams, take notes, jot down points from other speakers on here, and just realize that there is a place, a town, a house, a girl, a dog, a job, everything for you here in Japan waiting for you. But it's just about making sure that you get yourself in a position to get here. And trust me, when you come here from the Western background, you're going to be like, wow, why wasn't I here sooner? So brothers, the world is ours. And as I said, I just want to look. I don't want to put anyone on a time slot, but I would say realize though that the future is changing fast. Japan may not always be as open as it is right now. So please get a call of action to yourself. Have a plan ready. Have the skill set. Also have a sufficient means of income. And lastly, the big one as well, be able to adapt to this environment. Those are the four things I leave brothers with to make sure that you can get here as fast as you can because the worst case scenario is Japan one day says we want only a certain type of people and it doesn't apply to you anymore. So please, brothers, take note and just work on yourselves and have a plan.
Wow, thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you.
That was well said, man. That
Yeah.
was well put, brother. From an intelligent brother, intelligent young man. Gani, I love this brother, man. I know he's going places. And it's funny, I wanted to say before I get into my final deal, looking at this background, I just can't, I just know that that's going to be Gani's house for real in the back. I just can see Ghani sitting there, me and him on the stream talking. And Ghani's got his house. And then I see his wife and his kids like kind of walking behind him and running behind him. Oh, man, hey, there's a little, what you doing? What you doing? I just see the brother, man. I see it. I see the vision, man. And my kids running. I see the vision. And this is what I want to say with this brother. This is what I want to close this out with. So see, there's a lot of platforms out there, brother. ESP, you got IP's channel. I don't have any problem saying them. You got the OG passport, the brothers in Japan. Now, what I bring to the stream, what I bring to YouTube, what I bring to the brothers is I am a happily married brother with two beautiful kids and a beautiful wife living in Japan. And I call myself the end product for the brothers. I call myself the end product because I know that this is the kind of life you can have. I know, how wonderful life is when your wife does not have to work and when your wife can focus on your children and managing your home. And I'm not saying to the point to where they're managing it and they're just like running around complaining about, oh, I got to do some, do that. No, that is not a home manager. Okay. People look at a Japanese woman and they just think, oh, she's just a wife. No. One thing I've noticed between here and the West, Japanese women are more than wives.
Yes.
They bring more than just a wife to the table because they will make sure that you have everything you need to succeed in your life for the family. They care so much about the family. They do.
Yeah.
Really care about your children that you have with them. Oh, so this is the type of thing that I bring to the streams. I'm just basically telling the brothers, look, you can get out of that matrix, those mass shootings, the masculine women, the fact that you can't relax, the high blood pressure, the stress, and you can come to Japan, not make it. You don't need to make that much money, and you can live comfortably. But like in people's cases, if you aspire to make more funds, then great, go
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah.
right? But you have the freedom to choose.
Yes.
And one thing, last thing, freedom here is responsibility. Everybody in Japan has a role to play. When
Yes.
I walk down the street, if I drop something, some trash off of me, my role is to pick that back up and make sure that trash is put in the proper place.
Yes.
That is something that I find myself doing in Japan all the time. I knock it down, I pick it up. I mess it up, I clean it up. And the guess what? The next person in Japan does the same thing, and the next, and next, and next. That's a secret to living peacefully in Japan.
Yes.
Everybody contributes to peacefulness and safety here in Japan,
Play
whether
that.
they know it or not. They do it
Yeah.
on a continuous basis, and this is not a place where a woman says, "Oh, I can be a nice wife. I can be a wife." No, that she is wifeable because
Right.
that's how she was raised.
Right.
A woman that says, I can be a good wife, they're not going to be a good wife because they have a time limit.
Yes.
They will get tired of being a good wife,
Yes.
a good home manager, a good mother to the children. They will get tired of that. But Japanese women, I never hear that out of their mouth.
Yeah.
I don't hear it out of their mouth because they know that that is part of society. They know that they themselves brought the children in the world, and they know that that children is their responsibility or that
Yes.
child is theirs. So, with that said, brothers, I just want to apologize to Ghani. I'm sorry I kept you up this late, brother.
No, 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 no apologies whatsoever. This is for the brothers' benefits, watching now and watching in the future. You know, we are making these movements now, so you'll be able to have the tangible benefits in the future. So no, no apologies. After honors all mine. Coming on anytime. Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother. I will have you on some more of these streams because
Yes,
I like your presence, man.
yeah,
And I want to give one more shout out to Dez.
of
Dez, I
course.
just want you to know, brother, you are not a loser. You have two brothers up here that care so much about you, man. And the reason why, secretly, I want to tell you this: the reason why I say most brothers won't make it to Japan because I'm challenging you, Dez, to prove me wrong. That's what it is.
Right.
You, you, Dez, you got to prove me wrong. You got to prove Ghani wrong. You got to prove us wrong, brother, because we do not need you to be part of that 95% that'll never make it here. I told you, Des. I told you a few months before I came to Japan that I seen you in Japan, and we were all laughing. And
Oh
you
yeah,
was like, "Man, I can't believe I'm here." And I was saying, "I told you." So don't give up.
yeah.
But don't know this. But you gotta make that money, no matter what. If it's sweeping floors, if it's throwing out the trash, you got to generate the income so you can start putting that money aside to get yourself ready to come over to Japan. You got to do it. You cannot afford not to make money one day.
Right,
That's not possible.
right.
So, with that said, brothers, thanks a lot, brother Ghani.
Thank
Hey,
you, thank
brothers,
you.
no problem. This is BSP, brother, your brother in Japan.
I know,
And I know this is a pretty long stream, but I'm hoping the brothers get some good stream out of it. And I
absolutely.
want to give a special shout out to Saeed. Saeed, my brother up in our brother up in Nigeria, Valeri Kirmu II. I like what he said. You can show it here. He said, "Leave your pookies at the border and come in as clean as slate. No so-called streetwear, sagging, etc. We need more Idris Alba swag. That pookie crap. That is so true. We do.
Yeah,
We do. Because, brothers, Don't forget to represent yourselves. Dress nice, clean, personal hygiene,
Yes.
good smelling cologne. You
Yes.
represent the black man.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Absolutely. And the
All right.
mindset.
Gani, let me know, brother, when your dad's gonna be here, man, so we can hook that
Yeah.
up.
Gonna chat off. Yeah. They're gonna let you know online, offline. Definitely.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
brother.
Thanks,
All right.
guys. Thanks
Thanks,
a lot.
brother. Love you, man. Talk to you
Love
soon,
'em.
brother. All right, brother.
Love.